Hello, Pause Menu listeners. Today we've got a great episode for you guys. We're going to be talking a little bit about some Pokemon Day, a little bit about the Sonic franchise. There's been a lot of good news about that, but overall, we got some amazing topics for you guys today. We got two co-hosts. Going to be presenting them with some awesome questions about our topics, and just overall, I think it's going to be an awesome one. It's going to be an awesome one. So, looking forward to that. Stay tuned to hear more. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Pause Menu podcast. I'm your host, Oscar. We're joined by some familiar faces, but also a new face today. So I got my co-host right next to me, Sam Kalechi, and we also have a new face over here. Care to introduce yourself, man?
Hi, I'm Simon. I'm good friends with all of these guys. I'm very excited to be on this podcast today. I've been gaming for as long as I can remember, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel it. So a routine thing we normally ask you on that topic, a routine thing we normally ask a lot of our guests is like how you kind of got into it, you know what I'm saying? So care to kind of elaborate on that?
Okay.
How you kind of jumped into it in a way?
Yeah. My earliest memory is my dad. He played some video games, and I really got into it because of him. So he had this old Sonic plug-and-play. Right, it wasn't
I
an.
remember those. Yeah,
yeah.
Target and Walmart, and they would just plug straight into the TV.
Exactly.
Wild.
It was like a plug and play that kind of looked like a Genesis, and it had 4 Sonic games on there: Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and of course to round out the trilogy, Sonic Pinball and Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Exactly. The acclaimed sequels.
The acclaimed sequels. Nothing else.
Was it like a thing where it was just like Sonic 3 came out for the Genesis, right? I'm not tripping about.
No,
so why did they just not put it on there?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I was about to say those plug and plays had the most random games on them, bro.
Yeah.
I guess they wanted diversity or something.
Yeah. My dad, he says that wasn't actually the first game I played. The first game that I played was apparently Mario Kart on the DS.
That's a classic. That's a classic.
He played a classic, man.
But
played a classic.
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of that, a lot of GBA stuff.
Yes.
But I didn't get really into gaming until, gosh, I don't remember how old I was. Probably first, second grade. I went over to my cousin's house, and my cousin, he's got a lot of. He was huge into games at the time, and he had a bunch of toys and stuff. And I'm digging through his toy box, see this weird little purple object. I'm like, "What's this?" He says, "That's Gengar." Ooh. And that was the first Pokemon I ever saw.
Oh, there you go.
And from there,
it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, it was all downhill from there. I had an obsession. I loved animals as a kid. So, my dad was super into Star Wars. I loved all the animals in Star Wars. My sister was into Harry Potter. I loved the Griffins, the Monstrous Book of Monsters. So Pokemon was just made for me.
Actually, hold on. Going off of that, have you ever had any pets? Because I don't think I've ever seen you talk about pets ever.
I've had a few pets. I don't have any right now. When I was a little kid, we had 2 parakeets named Happy and Sunshine.
Aww.
My sister got to name them. They, of course, have long since passed. We've had a few hamsters between me and my sister. A few fish here and there, but the real highlight and love of my pet life, her name was Rosie. She was a black Labradoodle. We took her in when she was 7 years old. The original owners did not want her anymore because she was a farm dog, and she would keep tracking in cow pies and all that.
Aww.
So
it's part of nature, though.
Yeah. Well, we were really worried, how's she gonna act if she's doing that kind of stuff on a farm? She was so sweet. Oh my goodness. She was just a retired old dog who wanted love and food.
Same, honestly.
I'm getting real off track, but I promise there's a direction I'm going. I remember the very first day we got her, and she was just being such a sweetheart. And my mom and dad were talking, and they're like, "Oh, she's so perfect for our family," and all that. I'm walking downstairs. I turn into the dining room. She's eating our gingerbread house.
That's funny.
That's how you know she's part of the family, though.
Yes, yes. She unfortunately died of cancer. We put her down probably in my senior year of high school, between Christmas and New Year's. but she lived a long, long time. I remember being in 7th grade. And I was talking to my friends. It's like, we're getting a dog finally. You know,
awesome.
She's like 7 years old, and they're like 7. She's gonna kick the bucket practically as soon as she walks in the door. And I'm like, no, she's not. No, she's not. Like I said, she lived to my senior year of high school. She lived to be 14.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Double that age.
Dang.
I know.
Crazy.
That's what love can do, man.
We haven't had any pets since then. I get my pets thriving currently from my sister. She sends me videos of her cats and her dog. But yeah, that's my life history with pets right now.
Love that, my guy.
I feel that. No stress. But I know you kind of got a little bit of those touch and goes with kind of those franchises. Like any like consoles you owned back in the day, like aside from like the plug and play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like I said, we had the DS. My dad had a few GBAs. But my first like console was the Wii.
Real.
That's
like a common thread. That's a common thread.
Yeah, that's a good starter.
I know that some people in my generation like say they started with a GameCube and like Melee and stuff like that, but no, I was very much a Wii person.
Favorite Wii sport?
Favorite Wii sport? Boxing, easily.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, bro.
Dude, little kid me was on that boxing. I was straight up like pow, 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 pow,
That's what
like
I'm saying,
until
dog.
I wore myself out.
It was
dude.
emotional.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That was actually
Listen, me and my sister on boxing.
I was
crazy.
I was a ruthless monster on boxing, dude.
We got to get the guys together and play some Wii Sports boxing. We have never
I was
done that.
tennis.
No.
I'm not gonna lie, to you, I was a tennis guy.
Okay,
I used to get
see
to
you.
it.
I feel you.
Yeah, it was.
I feel
I
like
was a bowling person.
Bowling was cool.
Okay, I
bowling's
love
the most
seeing
iconic.
I love seeing adults play Wii Sports bowling because they get so
Yeah,
into
I
it,
know.
bro.
Yeah.
That would be the. That would go
Yeah,
all the
I
way
know.
back with the one.
my favorite thing to do with the bowling as a kid was always let go, like at the arc, and then everyone turns
yeah.
around like, whoa. I loved baseball a lot too.
Baseball was fun,
baseballs. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
baseball was good.
It's weird because I feel like I loved the idea of baseball so much as a kid, and now that I'm an adult, everyone I talk to is like, baseball's boring.
I mean, like, kind of is. Don't kill me. It kind of is. I'm not gonna lie.
How dare you?
I respect baseball as a sport for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more exciting than golf.
like-
It is way more exciting than golf.
More
Yeah.
sign than golf.
Golf is-
Golf's
I
more
know.
reserved though. After like playing a couple times, it's definitely you have to. It's
He's
its
so
own
cultured.
niche thing. Like
yeah.
something kind of.
I feel you.
I mean, to be fair, at least people play golf. Have you ever met someone who actually plays lacrosse for fun?
No.
See,
Does lacrosse really exist outside of college? Though?
does lacrosse?
I
No,
don't
does
know.
lacrosse
Like
exist
high
outside of
school?
high
It's probably
school?
pro.
It does
leagues.
exist outside high school.
Actually?
It doesn't exist outside of college.
I was
There's no
about
pro
to say.
leagues.
I don't think
Like,
I've seen.
Well,
There
there,
probably is
there,
pro
there, there
leagues.
probably is, but
Yeah.
like I'm talking about like an actual scene because like it's huge in like the high school and college.
Exactly. I was about to
Like,
say,
yeah,
like to get people into college from high school, especially, you
That's what
know.
I'm saying, yeah.
But like, I haven't seen it
Yeah.
anywhere other than that.
I don't think I've seen like an actual lacrosse game played ever
Literally
in
ever.
my life.
It's
I
another
went
game that the
to,
white people stole from the Native
What about
Americans.
2 or 3? So
That's 2 or
That's
3
what
more
I
than me.
2 or 3.
So real.
Mm-hmm.
But you were on Wii Sports and you were on the Wii. You know.
Yeah,
Any
yeah,
other
yeah.
games you really enjoyed on the Wii?
Super Mario Bros. Wii.
Come on now.
I mean, that's just a
It is
classic.
a classic, yeah.
Smash Bros. Brawl, obviously.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
Man.
Fantastic game. all
Subspace
around,
Emissary
man.
was too fun, bro. We
That
need
was
that.
neat.
One of the
We need
best
that.
story modes. One of the
Literally,
Legit.
it
I
was.
rewatched
And the trailers.
Yes, I rewatched the trailer for that with my little cousins the other day. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, some of these shots are so hard.
The Link
like
trailer
when you
was
had
hard.
like Ike running with like
Yes.
Meta Knight and like Marth and they were doing stuff,
Yeah.
dude. It's just like, bro.
Something I rewatched was the end where like Sonic fights.
Yes.
And someone was
dude.
like, "It's so poetic that Sonic saves the Nintendo." Verse. I was like, "It's fine, man."
Dude, I really, really missed that era.
I loved that game so much.
Yeah.
Let's see.
How'd you get past the T rating? Because I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah. No,
goodness.
I was actually I was
That's
about
funny.
to say. So I played it originally with my cousins at a
Yeah.
family gathering.
Yeah.
And that's when I went up to my parents. I'm like, I really, really want this game. You know, I know it's T-rated, but you know, I played it with my cousins. My cousins play it,
Yeah.
and you know, I didn't know what my parents thought about that.
Yeah.
And then I think later that year, I was at a Christmas gathering. We were doing Secret Santas. My aunt actually got it for me.
Oh,
Yes.
no, we love
We didn't
that.
know.
Was that?
But your parents knew when you're on.
Oh yeah, my
Okay.
parents Well, I should be abundantly clear. My parents were very good about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They always looked into it themselves. So I don't think they were.
Mine didn't.
Lucky.
Yeah, I don't think they were against
no.
it. But this is a bit off topic, but kind of on topic. Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga for the Wii.
Yeah.
I loved that game, and I specifically remember being 7 years old. And one day I pulled it out to play it, and I look at the case, and it says rated E10 for everyone.
I know, right?
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm legit. I'm like, I'm not 10. I'm only 7. So I put it back in the case, and I go up to my parents, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. I've been playing Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, and it says E10 for everyone, and I'm not 10 yet. I have to wait 3 more years. So my parents were just like, okay. and I think I literally, I didn't touch it for probably like a day or 2 days, and then I picked it out, and I'm like, put it back in. They never cared, you know?
Dude, listen. Having parents that actually care about your games and also don't flame you for playing things outside of your quote unquote age range, man. Because it was in our family, my mom never bought games. It was always my dad buying games, and so as long as they didn't stop him going outside of GameStop, he was fine. So we picked up Smash Bros. And it was fine. I picked up Star Wars Battlefront 2. But I remember specifically when I was pre-ordering Middle of the Shadow of Mordor, and that game was rated M, and I was 16 at the time when that game came out, I want to say. And so they stopped him about it, and he was just like, what? And if you know my dad, he's he doesn't stress out about things unless someone gives him a reason to.
Yeah.
And so dog, the way this man thought I was trying to play something that was horrible for me and made me basically give back my pre-order. I had to get my money back and everything.
Oh
and
my
I was
goodness.
just
that's the worst.
man.
That's your worst nightmare.
Literally, and it wasn't even just the fact that it happened, but the fact that he thought I was doing something wrong, so he was disappointed in me too. And I'm like, I'm just trying to play a new Lord of the Rings game. This is not bad. So I got it a year later, and it was fine.
I never really ran anything like that. I just used my better judgment. We just used our better judgment. So it's just you know what? We know it's just not gonna work out that way. Because I remember being in middle school, all my friends dude, you gotta get GTA. You gotta get GTA. I was
in an African household,
I was like, I'm not getting GTA,
bro.
I literally,
and it wasn't even because as a kid, I was like, I kind of want to play GTA, but I was like, I can't really be playing.
That's what I'm saying.
But it was normally a thing where my parents they'd look at the age rating, but they'd still be like, it's whatever though.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's where I was at with that. But all right, but I guess in a way, kind of moving forward, do you have a favorite game of recent memory? Because I've learned that the topic of favorite game of all time is a bit heavy.
Yes.
So do you have a favorite game of recent memory?
I was put on the spot for this very recently, and this isn't recent memory. This was a few months ago, last year. But I've been thinking about it a lot recently because I want to replay it. There's an indie game called Slay the Princess.
Oh yeah,
yes.
I need to get back to that.
You need to,
yeah,
dude.
I was playing it with my girlfriend, and we're really enjoying it. I'm loving that the narrator is Johnny Sims from Magnus, which y'all should listen to if you're not listening to Magnus Archives. But yeah.
I played through it with a friend of mine a few months back.
That was you and Andrew, right?
Yeah. We I saw the demo on YouTube.
Yeah,
and then it came out a few years later, and I saw a YouTuber, I think his name is Manly Badass Hero. He played I saw his first episode, and I'm like, I can't watch the rest of this.
Yeah,
this looks too good. I need to pick it up and play it myself.
That's a vibe, actually.
Yeah. So I did, and I was like, hey, I watched the demo. I saw one episode. I kind of know some of the direction this is already going. So instead of just doing it myself, why don't I get someone on board to play it with me?
Yeah.
So that's when I brought Andrew in. And Andrew, I let him kind of be the captain decision maker. And it was honestly like a blast. I normally don't like visual novels.
I feel it, but I feel like when you have a visual novel and you're playing it with someone,
Yes.
it makes it way better. Because that's how me and Abby played Class of '09, and so like every decision we had to come to make, we'd be like, "All right, babe, like you're up. What are we doing here?" We go back and forth. I feel like when you're playing a visual novel with someone, it makes it like twice as engaging.
Yes,
because it's all about the story. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's very much about the story and then about the decisions you have to make. And so being with someone where you can be like, "Ooh, that just happened. So now what do we do?"
If I can interject as well, I also feel like I said, I don't normally play them unless it's like a murder mystery, like Ace Attorney. But there's just something so well done about the artwork, the narrator,
especially.
The narration is fantastic. I love the body horror. I love it so much.
Dude.
And normally body horror doesn't like get to me. But
it's like between the narration and the sound design for Slay the Princess is just I'm telling you, dude.
There's one route in particular, and I'm not going to say which route this is because I'm not going to spoil it. But there was no body horror at all, and it was all like, I don't know if psychological is the right word, but it's the one that got to me. It was the one that I was wanting to do from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And at the very end, we had like one route left we had to do before we finished. I'm like, Andrew, I'm taking the reins. Can we please do this route? And he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I loved it. I loved it so much because it's the one that creeped me out. Of the routes that I had to play to finish, I haven't played every route, obviously, and that's why I want to replay it, especially with what's been going on in my life recently. I feel like a lot of the themes, that are tackled in there are just really good themes to be
How long is the
talking
game?
about.
Just curious.
It's
really
like,
short.
I was about to say it's not long. Like even getting into any, that's what I've noticed about a couple, like at least a couple visual novels I've played. Getting through like specific routes shouldn't be too long. You know what I'm saying? Like what, maybe like 2 hours, like maximum, something like that. If you're like trying to like, and especially if you're like doing like ending hunting, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're just trying to like find a specific route or figure out where a choice branches off, you can like, so if you know all the dialogue up to that point, you can like skip ahead and then get to a point where you need to make a decision, then try something else. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I forget what I was going to say.
But you were saying that that's like the game you've enjoyed the most recently because you've been thinking about it and you want to replay it.
Yes.
Did you get all the routes when you played with Andrew?
So you actually don't need to get all the routes to finish the game.
Really?
Yes. I don't know if you'd consider this a spoiler, but you only need 5 of them.
Interesting. Okay. Because like I know with when we played Class of '09, there was like 14 routes in the first, like 14 endings, and the game will keep track of the endings that you get. So like every time we would finish, we'd be like, all right, we have like this many more, so let's like keep going and see what we can do. You know what I'm saying?
I thought I was gonna have to get all of them, which is why I was surprised when it cut us off at 5.
Yeah.
And there's no like true ending, but I'd say that
interesting.
I'd say that Andrew and I got what I would consider to be the best ending in the game.
I got you.
But that's part of the reason I want to go back is because I want to do more routes.
Yeah.
I want to get different endings. And it's just it's too good for me to not take in a second time. And I'm definitely gonna have to invite someone. I don't know who, but I'm gonna invite someone to play it again with me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. It's like the vibes of it are just so. And I've really been loving picking up games based on vibes. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't even watch any trailers at all. I like saw it on Steam. I was like, this looks interesting. Let me check it out. And I was like, okay, I feel like I would like this. Just bought it and then like just jumped in. You know?
Yeah.
Copping off of feels, not copping a feel.
Exactly. Wait, what do you mean?
If you know, you know.
I don't. I
The
do.
girls who get it, and the girls who don't.
Okay. Anyways, to kind of jump off what you were saying,
Yeah.
I've definitely been trying to get more into like indie games this year. There's a few AAAs that I'm going to be jumping into, like the Persona 3 remake.
Yeah.
I haven't bought it yet, but when I have more
I
time,
saw it. It looks so good.
I cannot
So
wait.
ready.
Oh, that
Persona,
looks gas.
Persona 3 is the only one of like the quote unquote trilogy
The new trilogy, I guess we could say.
that I haven't played yet because I played Persona 5. That was my first one.
Yeah, same.
I went back and bought 4 Golden when it was on Steam. I honestly, there's things about that game I like more than 5. I feel like 5 has better gameplay, but 4 has a better overall story.
People say that like your home base and your characters feel a lot more homey in 4 than in 5.
But I digress because the point is that I need to get into 3.
I got the limited run games physical coming in later this year, so I'm playing like that version of I'm gonna play P3P on Switch, and then I'm gonna play For Golden on Vita before I like play P3R.
You're gonna play P3P. P3P.
On the Vita.
Yeah, I want to play. I want to play P3P first because I'm just like this is like the earlier version or like the original version of the game or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I know that there's P3 and there's P3P and they're like slightly different with FemMC and everything. I think they might add her and P3R as DLC. People are like speculating on that.
I would love that actually.
You know?
I want more FemCs in Persona, not because I would inherently like play as them on a first run, but just because I feel like having that option is really
Just
cool.
having the option is cool. You know what I'm saying?
I'd probably play through them on a new Game Plus, low-key. If I could romance Ryuji in P5R, I would.
The best boy. But keep going. You were talking about AAA games you're looking forward to this year as well.
Yes. I'm currently playing through Mario Bros. Wonder. I kind of dropped that.
Get back to that game. That game is really good.
I'm almost done.
Get back to that game.
It's so creative, you guys.
Man,
The way it makes
really
me
good.
happy.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
Feels
Just
very
simple.
much like a being in an amusement park ride.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
No two levels are the same, and that's like why I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm almost done. I need to pick it up and finish it. Like I said, life's been busy, so I kind of put it down. But I need to get back to that. I might pick up the Paper Mario remake when that comes out.
Oh yeah.
I haven't even played the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played the first one either.
You mean the original Paper
Or the
Mario?
original, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a remake of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's
Oh,
different.
true. It's not.
Yeah.
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 What are the indies you looking forward to this year?
So a lot of my indie desires are more based off of like what I already have on my wish list right now. So
Like Cassette Beasts? Question mark.
yes. And I feel like that's something I need to dive into. That I feel like Cassette Beast ties into a very different topic, which I won't get into right now. But basically, that game looks like, in my opinion, from what I've seen, the best Pokemon-inspired indie game I've seen. And from what you've told me, Sam, it seems super creative. I love the idea behind the fusion mechanics.
Yes, dude.
I love the idea.
The way the elements interact with
Yes,
battles. I think
yes.
that's
I
really,
love
really
the
interesting.
idea of like, you're a plastic type. I'm going to burn you with a fire move, and now you're a poison type.
Exactly. It's really, really interesting the way that they do stuff like that.
I will say, I do think the overworld sprites look a little bit goofy, just because their foreheads are like, but I also love how the overworld just looks so much like a pop-up book, kind of.
That reminds me, there's an indie game coming out this year that's like have you seen the one that's like a 2D and 3D and it's like a pop-up book, but then he steps off the page and then he goes, I'll find it, hold on. But keep going though, you're talking about Cassette Beasts.
Yeah. I can't say anything more than that because, like I said, I haven't bought it yet. I haven't even played it yet, but that's definitely like on my to-get list. In terms of indie games I'm playing right now, I'm making my way through Ultra Kill.
Okay.
For real gamers.
Yes.
Please go play Ultra Kill if you haven't played Ultra Kill.
It is so good.
It is dope.
I've never had a game. First off, I've never had a game feel so fluid. The controls at the start I thought were a little bit awkward, but I'm getting more used to them. Excuse me. And I've never had a game just make me want to find all its secrets and get as good at it as Ultra Kill does. I remember getting to layer 3, which is the gluttony layer, with Andrew, because he's been walking through that game with me because that's kind of his realm. And he's like, okay, take a turn right here. And I open it, and there's this door, this locked door that just has a ton of P's on it. Like P. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I have to perfect every stage before this one in order to open this door, don't I? And he's like, no, you have to perfect every stage in this act to open this door. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, here we go again. So I haven't even progressed on to Act 2. I beat Act 1 and I've been going back perfecting every level because I want what's behind that door.
Yeah.
And I love it. Well, I think it's actually ingenious. And I doubt this was actually planned.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into perfecting the levels, you begin to feel like a machine. Which is perfect because you're playing as
a robot.
As a
basically.
killing machine.
Exactly.
And that's what because like the more you try and fail and try again, you just kind of become
It's really intuitive.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed about it because like I did a lot of cyber grind for me because like the combat is what got me into the game.
Yeah.
And so being like, all right, I'm switching to shotgun. I'm doing the charge up shotgun, and now I'm switching to the other type of shotgun. I'm using my ricochet on the pistols. I'm switching over to like the railgun. It's just like once you get into the flow of it and it starts clicking.
Yes.
Ooh.
It almost feels like, you know how Tetris Effect is designed to get you in that flow state?
Mhm.
That's the kind of feeling I get with Ultra Kill. And I haven't touched the cyber grind yet, but that might be how I have to warm up because it's been like almost a month now. Yeah.
Also, the game I was talking about was the Plucky Squire. They announced it, I want to say, like last year, where it's like you're going from like being like in a pop-up book to like being in this kid's room, where it's just like, this game.
Oh my gosh, that
Do you
looks
remember
so
ever seeing it?
cute.
Yeah, dude. It looks
I've never seen that
adorable.
before.
I'm telling you, dog.
You have to send that to me.
I'll send it to you for sure.
Okay. But that's about it in terms of games I'm looking forward to, games I'm playing right now. Like I said, on terms of my indie games, I'm definitely going by feel for the most part.
Yeah.
But that's about it from me right now.
I got you. Rock on. So, there's definitely good variety of stuff to play. I know you mentioned a lot of indie games, and the indie industry, or I guess the indie portion of the industry, is definitely starting to get a lot more popular and stuff. But on the same topic of popularity for games, we got some exciting topics coming up for everybody in here. So, first topic we have is that Pokemon Day is coming up. So very much soon. February 27th, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
and I know you'd have some good takes on this specifically, but Nintendo recently released all their financials regarding the Switch and just overall good selling games in terms of that. So that was something that we talked about last episode. But a cool thing about that is that we got some figures for some updated figures for the Switch Pokemon games and kind of where they like sit in terms of all that. So we're gonna play a little game. We have now the sales figures for Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, etc.
Yes.
And so the top 5 best-selling Pokemon games, I want you to guess what they are.
Oh shoot.
And everyone else is gonna do this too. But
Okay.
Oh, you mean ever?
I'll have
Like
all
all time?
Oh,
Or
time.
just the Switch
Oh.
ones?
all time.
I
All
remember
time.
you.
I'll let Simon go.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to
No, you're
interrupt
good, you're
anyone.
good.
I remember you putting this in the Discord, but
I did.
I don't remember.
And I knew a lot of them though.
I don't remember the specifics, but I remember Red, Blue, Yellow was at top.
Yeah, it was number 1.
Yeah, which I mean makes sense. Pokemania.
Yeah.
I think after that, it was the Switch games. So Scarlet Violet at 2, which I'll get into how I feel about that later. Sword and Shield at 3. I'll get into how I feel about that later. After that, gosh, Gold, Silver. I'm going off of memory, by the way.
Which is what I want you to.
Yeah. After that, honestly, the 5th one is a complete guess. I remember BDSP being high up there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that at 5. That's my only guess. Everything else is memory.
Everyone else have any other guesses? Does anyone disagree with
Wait, was
Simon's list
He
here?
said
Red,
Red, Blue,
Blue.
Yellow is first.
Red, Blue, Scarlet, Violet.
Sword and Shield?
Yes.
Shield.
And
Did you say
then
Heart Gold, Soul Silver?
Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Heart Gold, Soul Silver. The original Gold, Silver.
Okay, Gold and Silver, then
Original
Heart Gold, Soul
Silver.
Silver.
And that was the 5th one?
I guessed BDSP.
I'm gonna switch BSP and put Let's Go Eevee.
Oh, you know what? That's a good
Yeah.
point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, as like the most non-Pokemon person here, I'm gonna go with what Simon said.
All right. So, to summarize it, Simon had said that it was Red, Blue, and Yellow at the top. Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
After that, Sword and Shield.
Original Gold and Silver.
Original Gold and Silver.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
then
he said
I guessed BDSP.
BDSP. But I'm saying
So, the actual order is Red, Blue, and Yellow. So
Mhm.
they're right about number 1. Sword and Shield has still sold more units than Scarlet and Violet.
Really?
So-
Oh,
you
probably
have
with
to swap
longevity. It's
two of
been
those.
out
Okay.
longer.
It's definitely with that longevity.
also flip flop.
I wonder.
So you flip flop both those.
I wonder if part of that has to do with the controversy upon SSB's release.
But then
too.
also it was the first console Pokemon game too, so that also probably boosted sales.
One of them is working with a year. The other one's working with 3.
yeah.
But 4 actually. No.
fair. But as you were saying,
Yep. and you were right about Gold and Silver being 4th, but you were half wrong about 5 because 5 is Diamond and Pearl. Not
Really?
Oh, that's interesting.
It's Diamond and Pearl.
It's Diamond and Pearl. So
To be fair, the marketing back in the day for those games
It was
going kinda
crazy.
Honestly.
Pokemon, Diamond and Pearl.
But
Diamond
feel like
Diamond was my
and Pearl
first
was
one.
the was kind of the start of a new Pokemon renaissance.
I agree.
Yeah.
Where, like Gold and Silver was still the sequel
'Cause
game,
wasn't-
the hit game.
Yeah.
So everyone was still like liking it, and then Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald was like very much still like that. Like okay, like it's the 3rd game in the series type thing.
Exactly.
But then like Diamond and Pearl is when the generation shift kind of like
That
started.
was the first one
Yes,
on the DS,
yes,
So
yes.
a whole new generation of people got into Pokemon because there's so many people who say Diamond and Pearl was the first
Exactly.
Pokemon.
Wasn't that the
I-
first
I
one on
was
the
one of
DS?
those people.
Question mark?
Huh?
Wasn't Diamond and Pearl the first one on the DS?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I was about to say, yeah.
wait, but people say Platinum is so much better in terms of.
It is.
No, it
That's
is
so funny.
But I mean, you know, Diamond and Pearl came out first.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if we
Mm.
think about the way that people view games casually, Diamond and Pearl came out first, and those are the ones that were pushed first. They're gonna
Yeah.
pick those up.
Also,
Like, cause like how long after that did Platinum come out? Was like maybe like 8
It's
months, something like that.
a year.
Yeah,
to
I'm about to say,
I was
that
about to
was a
say,
year.
you know, it's just like, but
It's not
like
cop Platinum.
most moms are
even
gonna be
know.
like, you already got a Pokemon game last year. You know what I'm saying?
I think Platinum was one of those 3rd versions that had more time in between it than typical. So it might have been a couple years.
Yeah, because I know Gen 5 started in 2011, and then Diamond and Pearl released in 2007. So, you know, if you give like a year or two between like Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, that still gives like a good amount of time until Black and White. So,
Yeah.
Platinum came out in 2008.
yeah, so just a year after.
So I would have been like
But,
6 years old. Dang.
But in terms
Oh
of
no, but Diamond and Pearl came out in 2006.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
So just
2
like
years.
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of the actual units sold, Red, Green, and Blue sold 31 million units. Sword and Shield 26 mil. Scarlet and Violet 24 million.
Yeah.
Insane.
Gold and Silver 23 million. And then there's a huge gap between Diamond and Pearl and Gold and Silver with 17 million.
Dang.
But in terms of the rest of the list, because I don't want you guys to be guessing the whole rest of the list, right? But X and Y is right outside of that. So X and Y is 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sun and Moon 7th. Ruby and Sapphire 8th. Black and White 9th. Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee 10th. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl 11th. Legends Arceus 12th. Yellow 13th. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire
Dang.
14th. Heart Gold and Soul Silver 15th. Fire Red Leaf Green 16th. Ultra Sun Ultra Moon 17th. Black 2 and White 2 18th.
That's insane.
Platinum 19th. Emeralds 20th. Crystal 21.
That's still wild.
Is there anything
wow.
here
Heart Gold and
that
Soul Silver being
is
that low is
surprising?
wild.
Black 2 and White
Yeah,
2
Gold
is
Silver being
way
that
too
low.
low.
Mm-hmm.
Black 2 and White 2 being well, yeah, that's something that's pretty infamous because
That's criminal.
it was right
Like-
before the 3DS came out,
Yeah.
and
That
like,
last
the
15
the marketing was
and
bad.
down.
I actually, sorry, I don't
No,
know.
no, you can go.
I talk about how criminal it is that Black and White 2 is low a lot of the times because here's what I think. And don't take my word as gospel here, but here's what I think happened with Black and White 2. Black and White 2 did not sell bad under previous standards. Here's what I think happened though. A lot of times the 3rd version sells worse than the 2nd version.
It does. All the 3rd versions are at the bottom of this list. So.
And I think what they were trying to do with Black and White 2, aside from make a really good sequel, was they were trying to
Subvert that curse.
yes.
Yeah.
And so it sold about as well as you would expect a 3rd version to,
Yeah.
but
it
not
wasn't.
as good as Black and White.
But it wasn't a 3rd version, which is the issue. As opposed to a 3rd version, which will have a good amount of recycled content. Black 2 and White 2 is
Let me pull up these sales.
it's generally like, yeah. So like Black 2 and White 2, for instance, it sold 8 million, 8.25.
Jeez.
And that is just something that
Not even
is-
10 mil.
as my favorite Pokemon game, it's surprising.
That's
to
my
me.
top 3.
But you know, I think the thing that sucks the most about it is that it destroyed Game Freak's like confidence in direct sequels, which is why we haven't really seen one. I think the
know.
closest we've gotten to something like that is Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Sun
Yeah,
and Moon
but
should have been a
it-
sequel.
I feel like it that
wasn't
definitely would
needed
have
for.
benefited from being a sequel. Instead, it was like this alternate dimension,
Yeah.
timey wimey. But,
Well,
you know, it's-
Ultra Sun and Moon was also an experiment. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was an experiment for Game Freak's younger devs.
Oh,
Yeah, that
interesting.
makes sense.
So they can get more experience.
yes.
I heard the director was the dude who directed the Sword and Shield DLC. Wasn't he the same director for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? I'm
No,
90%
no,
sure.
because I'm pretty sure by the time he was done with USUM, he was actually co-directing Sword and Shield along with Masuda.
Interesting.
Well, I'm just saying that because Sword and Shield's DLC had a different director than Masuda. Masuda didn't
Yes.
direct the DLC for Sword and Shield. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the same guy.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I will say that I love the people who are directing the DLCs. I feel like you can really tell they care.
Mhm.
And
I
they,
feel like there's overall. You can tell there's overall care at Game Freak.
oh yeah,
The time crunch is really just the biggest thing. In my
yeah,
opinion. It's
yeah.
not the only thing, of course, but it's like the biggest thing.
Do you feel like Pokemon needs to get off of being like, coming out like with the frequency they do?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no. This schedule worked when you were making over the top 2D,
Yeah.
RPGs, but it doesn't work in the year of our Lord 2024 when it comes to developing AAA 3D games.
Yeah.
On console.
It's
Yeah, on consoles.
Yeah. It's
So, which is why even stuff like X and Y, Sun and Moon, even though they're like, people don't really hold them as like highly as they do in Black and White. Like they're still like, these are still good Pokemon games. And like obviously the kids who grew up with those, like the moment they get a chance to like actually have an actual voice on the internet, they'll probably like say more about those games. But with Sword and Shield, we saw like very much backlash because like there are inherent problems. There are like apparent problems with those games.
Do you feel like Pokemon needs to like shrink its scope more to like because I feel like I hear a lot of complaints kind of being like it feels unfinished or things could have been deeper. Do you feel like if they shrink their scope and focus more on like making specific things deeper, it'll be better?
I think so.
I think personally, like the Pokemon stories itself, I think they do, like you were saying, they put a lot of care and like effort into the stories. I think they have a lot of ideas, right? We see gimmicks all the time. We just saw the one for Scarlet
Was it
Violet.
Terrestrialize or whatever?
Yes,
Yeah.
which wasn't bad, right? Obviously, I didn't mind it because I think it was mainly catered toward the competitive scene because that really shakes a lot of things up and it makes it very interesting if you really play with it. I'm like, I can see why people grind certain things. They do different side missions to get certain, things to complete that like that list that you need for to terrestrialize. But I think Game Freak is selling themselves short in the sense of like you can give us the same standards we had with the Dexes. You can give us on top of that even like we like to catch Pokemon, right? We like to do it's. We're not like asking you too much in terms of gym leaders and things like that. I think it was pretty cool when you'd had those challenges for in Alola. I think that stuff is dope. I don't have an issue with that. I think the thing is like with Scarlet and Violet, when you saw it visually, people like visual appeal and just looking at a game, that's what's going to draw you right away. It's like if I see you with a nice, with a nice fit on or whatever the case, I'm like, oh, okay, like I really like, I'll say something, I like your shoes or your clothes or whatever. The same thing I think with games in general. Like, so when people look at like even live service games or things like that, when gamers have problems with certain issues, yes, they just won't. Right. And I feel like a lot of people hate on new games more frequently now because they're like, oh, well, this is going to flop or this is going to do X, Y, Z because I don't really like how visually it looks. If it has one
and
bug.
That's a big draw of Pokemon, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah. So I think with Pokemon, Game Freak is in a space where they can really ramp up excessively. They can tee up. But the only thing is a time crunch. Like you pretty much have been saying, like, if they could just give themselves more time to really be like, okay, let's kind of add some more depth in. Let's put some more things in that'll work. And even try new things. I don't mind. Like, who didn't like Mega Evolution? Who didn't like, Zemu? Zemu was one of my favorite things. I thought it was super dope. Like, Alola, really, Sun and Moon, like, I really enjoyed the game. Like, there was some backlash. Obviously, there's going to be some backlash with every game that comes out. Even the starters, like, I love the starters. But
that's also something I really want to point out because there has been backlash with, like, every game since, like, I think Ruby and Sapphire, actually. So
literally.
Because it's so funny because someone was bringing up a thread from like 2005
Really?
of when Diamond and Pearl got revealed, and so many people were like, "Dude, this looks horrible, dog." I literally was like, "Wow, that's crazy." Because I remember back in grade school when Black and White came out, and I was like, "I mean, I actually kind of like Black and White." And like all the kids on the playground being like, "This is trash." There's a garbage Pokemon. There's an ice cream Pokemon. Blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, people love Garbodor and Vanillix.
I think what was beautiful about even Gen 5, and I was looking at Emboar, and people were like, oh, he's the worst fire type Pokemon. I was like, I love
I
his
was in the
design.
trenches
Like,
for M-Born, man.
literally.
I was in
And for
the
me personally,
trenches
I know
for
some people didn't like him. I don't
Yeah,
know like
no,
your
that was
takes
what I
on.
said.
I mean, as we talked about
Oh, yeah.
Gen 5, but like I really truly enjoy. We have our friend Andrew. He loves Vanillix. Like
Yeah.
that's his Pokemon. And I'm like, it was such a cool Pokemon. I've used it before in certain runs. Like
Yeah, but
I
it's actually a
played.
dope Pokemon to
Like
use,
I
actually,
think
so.
that's when Pokemon's at its best, when it's just having fun and being creative, and it's not worrying about like
Pandering to Gen 1.
Literally, we don't care about
console
Gen 1
kids.
is fine. Gen 1 is fine. We know what Gen 1 was. Gen 1 had its issues, but it's nostalgia. Like, let's be for real.
Exactly. I mean, it's where it started. You know?
Of course. Like it's gonna have its pros and cons. And I think Scarlet and Violet could have had a chance to be literally top 3. Undisputably. Like if take out the bugs, the graphics look visually better.
Yeah.
I think we could have been looking at like Scarlet and Violet. In 5 years, that's literally one of the best games of all, with the best decks and like whatever. But that's just kind of how I look at it.
I think with gameplay wise, right? Because obviously, to kind of tell the viewers a little bit of a story, it was around launch day, right?
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, Simon, Kalechi, Andrew and I, like we all got the game, right?
This was a Sword and Shield, or
this was
No.
Scarlet and Violet.
Scarlet and
Yeah.
Violet.
Because
So,
Scarlet and Violet was the first Pokemon game where you could play multiplayer and explore the world together.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool.
so we were
That was a
super excited
huge
about it.
advertising
That was
point.
that
And
was
for the last no, not for the last 2 years. More so for actually because yeah. So for Scarlet and Violet, leading up to it, I was not excited. I was like, okay, like whatever. Like I remember during the reveal, I was like, dog, like we're starting Gen 9 already. Like so I was like, all right, like I'm not really hyped. And so leading up, I was getting the leaks and stuff. Like people were like, there's this, and like, there's this many new Pokemon. Here's what the dex looks like. So I'm okay. All right. I'm thinking rock with that. And they're like, oh, okay, like there's a school mechanic or whatever, but pretty much it's like just an excuse so you can explore the open world. There's 3 storylines. I was like, all right, okay, I'm rocking with it. And so I took the plunge. I bought it day one, and we just ran into glitches galore. Glitches, like it's wild too because the moment I stopped, the moment I was like, all right, like this game is garbage. This game's garbage. The moment I was like, I'm coming to this conclusion. Game started working perfectly.
That is so
funny.
funny. Twitter was going crazy when that game came out.
Twitter was definitely going crazy.
Sales are going up though, and rapidly. You saw the numbers in the first 3 days. Like it was insane. Yes, 10 mil.
I was shocked. I don't think I've ever seen a game sell like that in my life.
Dude, literally.
Yeah. So I was like, that's insane.
It wasn't
and then
like-
Tears of the Kingdom did that a little bit. After, so,
But I feel like. Sorry.
Oh no, I didn't have anything to say. Although I guess if I were to add something, it would definitely be like, oh my goodness, dude, Scarlet and Violet was such a buggy glitch fest.
Yeah,
I remember that day one, and I was probably the exact opposite as Oscar, because I was like, they're definitely doing this too early, but like there's potential here, right?
Yeah.
And like I enjoyed Legends a lot. So I feel like there's potential, and then we kept trying to connect, and we kept disconnecting and crashing and doing so much stuff, and my faith was like completely.
That's the one
broken.
feature we completely gave up on. We gave up on that.
We
We didn't get to
never-
do the multiplayer really.
We never did the
No, I
multiplayer
never
again.
did.
That's
Never did.
crazy.
As soon as we stopped doing the multiplayer, the game worked way better.
Yeah. The thing is too is that when I was like, because I remember being in the Discord with you guys, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, the game works better when you're not multiplayer, and we all were just silent because you're like, we wanted to play together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Man.
it was it was something that it was kind of upsetting because it was like this leap of faith that they took, if they just waited and put more time and checked everything out, and like you could have had something that was really amazing. You could have doubled the sales easily. And it's not even about numbers, but it's like
My thing is that going back to the scope thing, I don't really think it's an issue of scope per se. I think they're kind of exclusive where you could either lower the scope and still get it out in a year, or you could still keep that same scope and you just have to give more time.
Yeah.
Which I think the things that Pokemon has in there right now, I think is how much it should have at this point in the franchise's life cycle, right?
And it feels like they're trying to experiment consistently since they got to the Switch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like with that, I don't think it would be a good idea to lower its scope. But again, the issue is always that like, TPCI wants to always line things up with, the card games, and the
exactly.
merch and the plushies and blah, blah.
So it's like there's not a lot of financial incentive for them to slow down at this point. Although I do wonder if you can have a little bit of best of both worlds, where it's like you lower your scope so that way you can give more detail to the stuff you have, but you just introduce more features with DLC, whether it's free or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think my kind of solution, in a way, is the only thing that stops it is Masuda's game design philosophy, which is he thinks that smaller teams are better for Game Freak in terms of and how to accomplish their goals.
Like
I
chemistry?
completely disagree with that.
Chemistry-wise, or
maybe
why?
is it creative vision kind of a thing?
It might be that.
No, I think Lee just thinks it's more effective for some reason. Which
It must be relationship-wise, like chemistry. It has to be.
Kind of like less people to have to like delegate tasks to.
Yeah.
Yes,
but delegation is like what makes a team work.
I mean, yeah.
But like my thing is though is that I think the Pokemon Company has a really good thing going where they could split the franchise up in terms of here are the Legends games, here are the remakes, or here are the Let's Go games.
Okay.
And then,
Interesting.
hold on, let me finish. Here is the Legends games, here are the Let's Go games, then here are the mainline games.
Okay.
And I think that that gives Game Freak a chance to expand. They can still be a small team within that scope, but then it's like, oh, the Legends game comes out to this year, but like this game doesn't come out for a while though. So I mean, like we're good on that front. You know what I'm saying?
Like a rotating kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a rotating.
So many
team.
small
So
teams.
each game essentially gets 3 years.
Yeah, each game essentially gets like 3 years.
Interesting.
So, which I think 3 years of dev time would probably be a good idea.
I mean,
maybe.
for Pokemon.
My only issue is that like we sometimes think these games are developed in a year, which isn't necessarily true because Scarlet and Violet started development after Sword and Shield released. So, so in a way, it was being developed for like 3 years, quote unquote. So, so that's kind of just my issue with that, where it's like I don't know how much more time it will buy some of these games, but that's kind of something I've always thought about. I'm hopeful because the Pokemon Company has released statements, a few times on how like they're looking at assuring quality and like figuring out okay, like we can do this and this to assure quality with this, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's more so just a wait and see type thing. So
going back to something you were saying earlier, I have a question, and this may come off as a stupid question, but I assure you there's some kind of logic to it.
Yeah.
Do you guys think they're going to even bother making another Legends game?
yes.
Really?
Yes,
I
the
think
Legends
so.
formula, there was good reception to it, which is quite the thing about the Pokemon Company is that anytime they do something and it's successful, they want to do it again. They did remakes out of necessity because the Fire Red and Leaf Green remakes weren't like a creative vision thing. It was literally people cannot bring Pokemon from Gen 1 over. We need to remake the games so the Gen 1 Pokemons can be brought over to the new game so they can be brought over to Ruby and Sapphire. And then they were like, oh, okay, people like those. Well, we also need to do the same thing for the Gold and Silver games, so let's do that. Then Heart Gold and Soul Silver was very successful, and then people were crying out for Ruby and Sapphire remakes, so they did that, and Brilliant Diamond remakes. Now we know remakes are a constant thing they will always do, right?
Yeah.
The Legends games also are a very similar thing where people are like, this is refreshing, this is nice, we want more of this.
Very
Legends RC is clearly sold well. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't continue it.
If I could,
same thing with the Let's Go series where Pokemon Go is incredibly successful.
Yeah.
And Nintendo, I keep saying Nintendo, but the
Company.
Pokemon Company wants to,
like leverage that success.
as I say, leverage that success and throw Go into as many different things as they can. So I just feel like those things are going to continue for sure.
if I could play devil's advocate for a minute, and honestly, if you want my honest opinion, I do think we probably will get another Legends game.
Yeah, I feel it.
But the reason I ask is because we never got another sequel kind of thing, like with Black and White 2.
I think the thing with that is that they kind of so the thing with that is the third version thing was kind of just a way to sell more titles in that generation.
Well, yes.
You know what I mean? It was a way to kind of keep the generation around.
Yes.
Now in the era of DLC which we've been in for a while, but you know,
I feel
Nintendo
like they
was
don't
still
have
like,
to do that anymore.
they don't really have to do
you
that
know?
because they're like, we'll just add DLC to the Sword and Shield. Are never getting a third version because you know,
Of course.
there's gonna be DLC. There's gonna be DLC, and like Pokemon X Y was supposed to get a third version,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden that got canned.
Man, I was looking forward to
and
that too. That would have been my first third version
Kalos,
Pokemon.
it needed it really badly.
We really did, man.
The reason I bring that up though is because obviously it wasn't getting the sales they were looking for. The direction my brain is going is if BDSP did outsell Legends like we saw, why would they bother building a new game from the ground up when they could just put Ilka on more remake projects?
I think. Are you talking about with like direct sequels and stuff like that?
No,
Or are you
no.
talking about?
I'm saying why would they bother making another Legends
When
when they
make
could just
another-
tell Ilka to make more remakes, which already outsold Legends in the same
Yeah.
year?
So there's no bother.
Well,
to
there's
even-
always going to be remakes. So we're talking about TPCI adding
Yeah.
another pillar to their.
Because I
release
feel like
schedule.
it's just
So-
always going to be financially good for them to make remakes because people are going to buy them.
Oh,
I
of
mean, like,
course.
that's the
As I
thing
say,
with
like,
Pokemon. Like, whatever they make, people are going to buy, you
Yeah,
know?
remakes have been around for a while. Ilk hasn't been
Mhm.
making them, but the remakes
Yeah.
have been there. So,
Although I do think that, like, since Legends Arceus was, like, so popular, like, even me as, like, a non-really Pokemon person, I was like, you know, we'll pick it up because it looks
Yeah.
interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're definitely going to be doing more of that. I just wonder if they're going to try to, like, refine, like, the gameplay style and add more things, or if they're going to just kind of, like, do more of the same. You know what I'm saying?
I would definitely, if there's a Legend sequel, which I think there will be, I want to make that clear. I would definitely want to see a visual update.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
thing I
Yep.
would want to see.
Kind of going back to Kalechi's point, it's just like
Exactly.
you can't skimp on can't skimp on the art direction and the graphics when that's a big part of the draw of your franchise. That's why we look at other like monster catching games that like any monster catching game that's not in the SMT franchise. It's like you know they're trying to be Pokemon but not Pokemon because of the visual style. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's the thing that everyone gets caught on. That's why Pal World just decided to just be like, you know what? We're not even gonna try. we're just gonna be blatantly not Pokemon because everyone's already trying to be not Pokemon. What happened to Temtem? Do any of you guys remember Temtem?
Yeah.
I don't remember Temtem.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Exactly.
I never played Temtem. But you know,
Some people like it though.
some
Yeah.
people said they
Some
liked
people
it.
said
Are you sure?
it's
Yeah.
better than
There's
Pokemon.
always gonna be an
Some people
audience
said
for
Speaking
it.
of
For any
not
game.
Pokemon stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Yokai Watch goes crazy on the aftermarket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah,
just
I
looking at that
discovered that.
earlier.
I
yeah.
was
Watch goes crazy.
$200
I
for the
was-
second game.
I was working. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me paint a picture. I'm working my night shift. It's going a bit slow. I could do my homework, but I don't really feel like doing my homework.
Nurse energy.
Yeah. So I started thinking, because we've been talking a lot about Yokai Watch
Yeah.
with the Pal World controversy and everything. And it's like, I loved Yokai Watch 1, but I never got into 2. I never got into 3. And I want to go back. I don't want to do that. So I realized that 2 kind of has a 3 version thing where the third one's a deluxe one. So I'm like, well, obviously I want the deluxe one. How much could Psychic Specters be worth? I see $200.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like,
what
bro,
I'm saying.
if I was smart as a kid, I could have picked that up for like typical price. But no, I had to be like, no, I don't want Yokai Watch because I just don't know.
Yo.
And then the third game doesn't go for any cheaper.
Nope.
It goes for like double the price.
Yep.
And I didn't realize. In retrospect, it makes a ton of sense, but I didn't realize how much English copies of Yokai Watch go for on the aftermarket.
It's kind of wild, honestly. And it's crazy because like Yokai Watch was crazy big with kids in Japan at the time. But like I feel like it was moderately big here, but it wasn't as big here as it was over there.
I
I
almost
don't know. It wasn't as big here as it was over there, but it was big enough to definitely be noticed by the overall gaming community. As a
oh,
whole.
for sure, you know. But no one's talking about it now. That's the thing.
I will say
Well, yeah, but it's 'cause it's kind of dormant as a franchise. Its latest game is a Japan only game. So
I will say, I do think that Yokai Watch is one of those few franchises that, and I feel like this is a matter of opinion, but to me, it was one of those few franchises that managed to be a creature IP,
Like Creature Monster Collector, yeah.
that didn't just feel like not Pokemon.
And I think part of that is because again, its whole theming is yokai. It's like Japanese spirits and folklore.
Yeah.
It has a whole other like theme to fall into. Kind of like how SMT is just like every like religion and mythology, we're gonna use that as where we're gonna pull our monsters from.
At the
You know what I'm
same
saying?
time, though, Pokemon has dipped its toes in the yokai scene
A
before.
little bit. But that's not the main thing.
Obviously, not every Pokemon is a yokai, but like you have Shiftry, that's a Tengu.
Yeah.
Frostlass is Yokiona, to the point where they literally put the story of the Yokiona in Legends Arceus just with the Frostlass, which don't think about it too hard, but it's there.
You've got a couple, but my thing is like Yokai Watch is like main thing is yokai.
Yeah.
Where like I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's not an electric mouse yokai or like an electric flying squirrel yokai. You know what I'm saying? Where like Pokemon thrives off of original designs and then incorporating other things into it.
Yes.
Whereas Yokai Watch and like SMT are like we're gonna use mythology that already exists and make designs off of that. Where other games are like, okay, we're not necessarily grabbing from an established theme like religion or folklore. We're trying to make our own unique thing. But then you fall into the well, why would I take your unique thing over just Pokemon? You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to be in that Pokemon space anyway.
And if I can build off what you were saying, I feel like Yokai Watch also does a good job with, even though some things are based off of the same thing, they're very different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't remember all the names of the yokai. But you know, like they have a Yokiona, they have a freaking whatever Dunsparce is, and they look different. Which is something that stuff like Power World doesn't do. Not to get too much into the Power World controversy, because that's not why we're here today. But
It's good controversy.
that's another reason I say that.
Trash. I just want to say real quick. That's not controversial. And continue. So.
That's just one of the reasons I say I feel like Yokai Watch does a good job at being its own thing and not Pokemon.
No, you're right. I never really felt like Yokai Watch was Pokemon. Like my sister, literally, our sister used to grow up watching that stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is actually really cool. But I never got into it just because it was a time where I just didn't really care
wasn't
enough.
for you, yeah.
So I was like, but I like that it branched off. It literally did its own thing. You're saying
Exactly.
It's if you want a different type of story, it has that for you. If you want that monster catching feeling, it has that for you. So like,
I've already mentioned how the creature catching like genre isn't like really like a thing for me. Like I don't really like, I'm not really drawn to it. Like for people who like want a Pokemon alternative, that's not really something that like I really desire, because like Pokemon is more so just like I just kind of look at Pokemon in a vacuum.
yeah, same.
And like
Kinda.
where it's like, you know, Cassette Beast and Temtem, like those games are cool for sure. And you know, not hating on them in any way, but I'm just saying that like, you know, I'm just more so kind of just interested in Pokemon. That's just something that is my thing in general.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't really feel incentivized to like try those other things. But I am glad to see those things in that space.
Yeah.
So like if you had to like create a monster catching game from the ground up, or if you were like, what's a theme that you would like to see in a monster catching game? You wouldn't like have anything like you would want to like see in like the space? Because like for me, I would love like a robot based monster catching game. I feel like that was kind of what Metabots was trying to be back in the day. But Metabots was like it was like you would like build your robot and you would fight other kids who had robots too. It was less kind of like monster catching and more of like, okay, we're like building your robot and you can have like different parts and you get different parts by doing quests and fighting other people or whatever, you know. They had a couple games in the GBA. I don't know if they had any on the DS, but like I personally would love something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? I never bought this game myself. I think it was on the DS. I think it was a Capcom game. You dug up fossils.
The dinosaur one?
Yes!
Oh my! What was that game?
I don't remember.
I know exactly what you're talking, because you would use like the touchpad to like you had to dig up the fossils.
You dug up fossils and then you
would fight with
your
dinosaur and you could build like hybrid.
Yes.
What is that game? Hold on.
Oh my goodness.
You gotta put me on there.
That was
on DS.
3DS. Yeah, it was a 3DS, right? Yeah.
That was one of those games as a kid that like
hold on.
It always looked cool.
Fossil Fighters.
And I wanted it, but I never got it.
Hold on.
Yeah, Fossil
Fighters. Hold on.
The only other monster catching game I played was like, it was called Crystal Monsters on the DS.
Crystal Monsters on the DS.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was actually pretty fun, but
that
it was
DSi. That was like a DSiWare exclusive game.
Yeah. It was pretty fun for what it is, but I don't think it caught a lot of traction.
No, it didn't. It was DSi exclusive, and like to be honest, I replayed a little bit of it like a couple months ago. It's not as good as you remember, bro.
No,
it's not as good.
I figure.
So OG, go ahead. Sorry,
I was gonna say the closest game in this space, I guess, that I've loved is Bakugan. So,
I never thought about it like that.
I don't know.
Bakugan,
like in a way, it's kind of
similar
similar because like it's not monster catching, but like you can amass more monsters. You know what I'm saying? Like you can get more Bakugan. You battle against other people.
Yeah, that's
back
true.
then. Like, there's no like going out and catching them in game more, but like, you know, they come from this one spot and you can like grab them from there. Like, so,
Dude.
and like of course Bakugan. I feel like Bakugan was in the same way you wouldn't call Beyblade like in the
I was
same
gonna say,
space
yeah.
as Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Bakugan was also in a very similar category. It was like
Right.
it was in the Pokemon, Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh trinity of like, you know, obviously stuff that like, you know, if you were in a Pokemon, like no one was having Pokemon versus Yu-Gi-Oh fights. You know what I'm saying? Like or Pokemon versus Yu-Gi-Oh debates. If they were, then I don't know why you were doing that.
I don't know what to say at that point,
I
dog.
don't know what you're doing with that one, but I mean, you know, that's
that's
how I
fair.
kind of saw that one.
Dude, there was 3 Fossil Fighters games.
There were 3?
There's 3 of them.
I only ever saw ads for the
There's like the
first.
OG on the DS, then there's Champions and Frontier. They're both on like the 3DS. The last one came out in 2014. That's crazy. That's 10 years ago, dog.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, like aftermarket prices for the first one are like $30, but you
Really?
increase a lot for the 3DS ones.
$30 actually isn't that bad.
Yeah, I was about to say like because like literally the first one is like $20 I'm seeing on Mercari, like $13 I'm seeing on Mercari. Well, actually that's the case. It only
Okay.
like 38, but like for Frontiers it's like $70, and for Champions it's like $100. So it's just like
Forget picking
That's
up
wild.
Yokai Watch. I'm gonna get
we
into
gotta get on
Fossil
the Fossil
Fighters.
Fighters, low key.
Fossil Fighter pills, man.
Man, Fossil Fighters sweep.
But yeah, so I guess kind of bringing it to the ultimate question I have for this. What do you expect out of Pokemon Day?
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
there's 2 things.
Yeah, 'cause I'm scared.
There's something
I am too, man.
There's 3 things.
I'm scared.
I haven't been following leaks, but I've seen them, so I'm gonna say leaks.
I've seen a couple.
General like clickbaity leaks that I've seen online. Second is what I want, and third is what I think will happen.
Yeah.
So first, the general like leaks that I've seen. I've heard about a new Legends game, but it's not Unova. It's Johto. Which
That would be great.
Wait, I thought that was
actually.
for Let's Go. Well, I
No,
saw
no,
a leak of that.
There,
But
there's that leak too, but there's also been the like, you know, rumor mill going on. There might be a Legends Johto game,
Johto.
Interesting.
which would be very interesting because
Okay.
Johto has a lot of like, its history was talked about the most before maybe Diamond and Pearl became the region where it had a lot of history talked about, and
Yeah.
obviously the Legend Arceus game came out
Yeah.
and expanded on
Which
it. but
Pokemon came out in that region? For those of us like me who don't
Johto,
know.
that's
Yeah,
Gold
Johto.
Silver.
That's Gold
Okay,
Silver,
I
yeah.
got you. I got you.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So like Ho-Oh, Lugia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I
yeah,
got you. I got you.
Totodile, Cyndaquil.
So
Cynical the goat.
what I would want out of a Legends Johto game, I think it'd be really cool to get some of the Burnt Tower stuff.
Yes, I was just about to
From
say
the Burnt
that.
Tower
But
That would be so wrong.
But I think what a lot of people may or may not be thinking about, buff unknown.
buff on.
Think about
Well,
it.
if it's a Legends game, it's not going to have multiplayer though.
I'm not saying that it has to, but
But you just
Give-
want to know them buffed regardless.
well, think about it this way: every kid who's done an unknown quest thought they were going to get something super duper cool, and you always get disappointed because you get the exclamation mark and the question mark instead of some cool thing. What if when you got every unknown, they like fused and made
And
a
then, like,
super
actual-
unknown?
Yeah, like it actually.
And like it actually lives up to those dex
This
entries
unknown.
of like these are the building blocks of the
Unknown
universe.
is the one that's like, what is it? Like it looks like the different letters, right?
yeah,
Off
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
What if it's like different letters or whatever, since it's like ancient or whatever, like ancient runes or something like that?
That could be interesting, but
That
I
makes them
think
harder to collect because
Oh, that is
like
fair.
you're like,
because
all
we're
right,
speaking
do I
in
have
English.
as many of them? Like I'm like,
yeah.
do I have like blah blah blah? Like I mean, even because I personally collect the unknowns, and I was like, I didn't care.
I collected most of them, but I didn't
Like,
finish.
yeah, I was like, one, I didn't care, but like two, I was like, like I mean, is there a point really?
There
Like,
is
so-
one
Well,
game.
I mean, yeah, I knew there was a point eventually.
There's one game aside from the first game I played, which was Diamond, that made me want to collect all the unknown, and that was Legends
Yeah.
because they do it so ingeniously in that
There's
game.
the spots, the locations.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
Instead of
it's
like,
so
okay,
raw.
I need to go and get a random encounter, and I
Yeah.
already have this one. It's like they're hidden in secret little spots throughout all our little maps.
Yeah.
And you have to be on the lookout to catch each and every one. And I'm like, this is actually fun and engaging.
Yeah.
It's like really strategic
I
spots
got close
too.
to
like-
collecting them actually.
I did
in
too.
Arceus, yeah.
I was like, oh, this is
I
raw.
did.
All of them.
But then the story just kind of drew me in. I was like,
Yeah.
So I feel like with how they're reworking Unknown and Legends Arceus, a Legends Johto game would be the perfect way to give Unknown some more relevance again.
Yeah.
Now, I know we were all hoping Regigigas would be buffed, and he wasn't, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did nothing with Unknown. But that's something I would want to see out of a Legends Johto.
Okay.
Moving on, unless you all have something else you want to say. No?
No.
Moving on to what I want to happen. Preferably, I'd like them to take more time on this, but I would like a black and white remake. Specifically,
Please.
You and I have very different opinions on that one.
Why?
I don't want a black and white remake.
You think they'll ruin it?
I'll get into that too.
It's inevitable. I know it's going
yeah.
to happen because it
Money.
makes money.
Money.
Yeah, money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I think black and white is now. You know what I would want? A black and white port.
Wait, Cook.
I would love. A
I'd buy
port
that.
Where it's like, hey, bro,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you got it right the first time.
Please.
Here. That would be amazing.
Low key.
I mean, they're not gonna do that. So my only hopes for a remake would be if they did it in a very Octopath Traveler style. Because
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
the graphics of Octopath.
Octopath,
Every single
Star Ocean
as
Second
a-
R, every
single 2.5D
The
game that
HD.
Square Enix
Yes,
has made
dude.
recently,
Mm-hmm.
I
This is
love the
gorgeous.
graphics alone, and that's what's made
Gorgeous,
me been
dude.
like cop every
Yeah.
single time.
Exactly.
So I would love if they did it in that style.
You need to expand on your point though.
Yeah. So what I would want from a black and white remake, and considering the time crunch and everything, I'm fully aware that this might be unreachable
Kind of pie in the
standards.
sky.
Yeah.
But that's what you want.
This is like my dream if they had all the time in the world. I would want a black and white remake. I would love for it to look fantastic because
Yeah.
black and
3D
white.
or 2.5D.
I haven't decided yet. I feel like I'm kind of leaning towards what Oscar said.
Yeah.
You were gonna say something, Kalechi?
I kind of low key want the 3D. I think
I think 3D would be cool.
I think gamers be
but
like 3D a lot.
my
I
thing
think
is though
3D
is
be
that
dope.
everything about black and white just like integrates so well.
Kinda
Like
fits.
it's all has a purpose, which I think is dope. And I think the sprite work being at its peak in black and white is something that I love.
No, the
and
sprite
I
work
love
is
thinking about
gas.
all the time.
It was.
Because,
That's part of my
like-
point, actually. Sorry to interrupt. But because Gen 5 was kind of the magnum opus in terms of sprite work, I wanted it to at least look good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it deserves that much considering what it was for the franchise as a whole. Like the end of the DS era.
Yeah.
What else I would want is I would want black and white and black and white too. And I would want them ideally to do kind of like a combo.
Oh, like in one cart? Like
Yeah,
where you, like,
yeah,
you can do
yeah.
one and then just
Okay.
start
But-
playing the other one immediately? Yeah.
I don't know how many people know about this because I had no clue about this when they came out. And I know I talk about this a lot to you guys, but there's actually a feature called Memory Link where if you had
DS?
yeah for black and white too, where if you had two DSs or you could connect it some other way, I think, I
Yeah.
don't know, you could actually like import your first save file into the sequel games.
Oh, that's really cool.
And what that did was it would add extra flashback cutscenes like in between the 2 years to kind of give you
Oh, okay. More
Yeah.
context.
More
That's
context.
really
Yeah.
cool.
for each of the
Actually,
characters.
I never did that.
N has a really good one. Elisa has a really good one. Most of them are really good. And I'd say if you're going to
Yeah.
play black and white too, and you already have an old save,
Yeah.
do the memory link. Something else it does that I really love is it brings up the name of your black and white one protagonist in cutscenes.
Oh, I love that.
So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That's dope.
yeah, and so what I would want is I would want a bundle that has the memory link built in.
Got you, because you already have both on the cart. Yeah.
But I think they could do something even greater. And this is what I would really, really love. Use the memory link even more to do one more thing. I think at the end of Black and White 2, they should have your Hall of Fame team from Black and White 1 memorized so you can find yourself.
And
fight,
it.
yeah.
Like a ram.
Yeah.
No, that's hard. That's
That'd be
hard.
cool. That'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
And it'd be like in a secluded location. That'd be so
I'm
tough.
thinking like Red from...
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be so tough.
Don't
if
tell
they
me
did
that wouldn't be hard.
That'd be
Because
That
it
cool.
would.
would. That would.
It would.
That would be gas.
Now, here's what I think will happen. Or were you gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna comment on how the red fight's amazing.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
People, sorry, side comment. People were saying, "What would you guys take?" I know you didn't play. Get to the end of, but would you? Are you taking red or gold? Just I saw some.
who's winning?
The cool
Yes.
thing about that fight is we don't know the conclusion, and I like it that way.
Okay.
But I think with because there are some people that they add very close to canon parts of Gold's team, which is Typhlosion. He probably chose Typhlosion. He probably had Sunkern. He probably had Ampharos.
That's what they were saying. If it's that team, I think I'm taking gold. Just my personal.
I mean, Sunkern already he's losing, so
That's why I was like Sunflora. Sorry, not Sunkern. He didn't just pop up with the Sunkern Sunflora, but I would take red, honestly, in my opinion. Because I also think back to because I'm also a huge fan of the Pokemon anime. And Pokemon Masters recently did
I know.
well, not recently. It
was a while
year,
ago.
yeah, a year and a half ago.
Okay.
But they did, the collab where they were finally established that Ash and Red are two super characters. And Red still kind of has his title as one of the best in the world. And Pokemon Masters being this collection of this place where all different characters from the different games get to actually interact with each other.
Yeah.
I think it just means the Red's he's still on top. But of course, the discussion of greatest Pokemon trainer of all time is once been had for many years, and it's for a different time.
it's not Cynthia.
It's definitely not Cynthia.
I love Cynthia, but it's not Cynthia.
It's technically Leon.
Game wise,
Leon?
It's technically, Cynthia's IV and EV trained in
BDSP. I do like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, which it's cool. Her team is actually completely optimized. But
Okay.
there's that.
Sorry,
Anyway,
keep
sorry.
going.
So what I think will happen this Pokemon Day, there was that tweet with Reshiram and
Reshiram
Entwine
and
flying the
Zekrom?
sky. So I think they
Yeah.
will announce a black and white remake.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be anywhere near my high standards. I think.
I'm ready for it to be cooked.
Yeah, no. I think it's going to be given to. I think it's going to be given to
Chill,
Ilka again.
It's really over.
It's gonna be given
then.
to
Ilka again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's going to be given to Ilka again.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of those faithful remakes, and I don't think they're
One of
gonna.
those.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna even acknowledge Black and White 2 because they see it as one of their biggest failures.
The thing with that is that I agree with everything you said.
I just don't like it.
And I hate the fact that I also have as much faith in it happening as you do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that them only remaking Black and White is a good idea. Primarily because normally they remake the first game out of it. When they did Fire Red and Leaf Green, they didn't remake Yellow, obviously, until
Okay.
years
That's
after,
fair.
right?
That's
They didn't remake Crystal. They didn't remake Emerald.
Yeah.
And we all have our thoughts on why that ultimately ended up being a bad idea. But Black and White and Black and White 2 are so different that it makes sense in a way. Again, my dream scenario would just be them being we are porting Black and White and Black and White 2 to the Switch.
When are they
That
gonna
is my
port-
dream
they-
scenario.
That's wild.
You know they're not doing that though.
I know. But
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
man can dream. I can at least put it on the record and be that's what
Exactly.
I want.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Do you think we're gonna get because aren't people rumoring that we're gonna get the Switch 2 some sort of announcement next week?
People think we're getting it
Like,
next month.
Okay, I
Really?
got you,
Or we're
I got
getting
you.
a direct next week.
Okay, I got
So,
you. I got you.
Okay.
Which I think makes sense because the Switch one came out in March, right? So
That is
it would be a good
true,
thing for them to be like, "Hi guys, anniversary of the Switch. By the way, thank you for taking me on this ride with me.
Yeah.
You know what? Here you go to Switch 2.
Because I was about to say, it would be dope if they were just
Yeah.
oh, you guys just heard about the Switch 2, right? Next game's coming on that one or something like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or the remake is coming on that one.
Well, then they'd have to announce because if the Switch 2 reveal comes out in March and then Pokemon Day is last day of February, then they're like, okay, well,
Yeah, that wouldn't really
we
make
have
sense
to
at this point.
reveal the Switch 2 before the
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of I guess following off that, I hope this is a very uneventful Pokemon day. If we get some Pokemon Sleep something, I know Pokemon Sleep is already out, but like a Pokemon Sleep-esque announcement or like a Pokemon Go-esque announcement, like Pokemon Cafe remix or something like that. Like,
I think we're probably gonna get like another a remake of Let's Go Pikachu. You know, we're gonna get that.
I think we actually will.
We could really see that. They're gonna run on nostalgia. We could see that.
I want to
Mystery Dungeon. We're gonna get another Mystery Dungeon.
I would love that. But
that would be raw.
And then a Pokemon cooking game. Boom.
Okay.
But
Pokemon?
I think TBCI is so weird about Mystery Dungeon. I don't know why.
It's so good. All right, sorry.
Pokemon cooking game, but you're not cooking with Pokemon. You're cooking
the
Pokemon.
Time for some Slowpoke Tales.
Yeah, legit.
Favorite Mystery Dungeon games?
Explorers of Sky is the only one I played, and it's the one I love the most.
Ranger?
No, Pokemon Ranger is
that a different series?
It's its
It's its own series, yeah. Mine's Gates to Infinity.
We haven't really
I played that
It's
one.
the one
I
Mystery
played that
Dungeon
one.
game where the individual Pokemon are like, central to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, was
Like,
that the one with?
I played like the first like quarter ish. So, and then I played a Mystery Dungeon game on the GBA, but I forget what it was. So, I've been like Red Rescue Team actually because I think that was on the GBA.
I'm having three games in my head, and I'm like, damn, which one was it? It is Red Rescue Team. I played that one
What
too.
if Pokemon Coliseum remake?
I would love that.
A man could dream, but then I'd wake up and it wouldn't be real. So,
I went back and saw some clips
XD
about
Gale
like,
of Darkness,
the
question mark?
dialogue and stuff like that in that game. It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
Coliseum was actually pretty.
it's
solid.
actually really dope. I think Coliseum started out as Stadium 3.
Something like that, right?
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember well, that might be wrong, but I remember just hearing that Coliseum used to be like it started off with something else and then it became Coliseum.
Yeah.
So, which I think I'm not sure, but yeah. So hopefully Pokemon Day is uneventful, at least in my opinion. Everyone else have any other Pokemon Day predictions?
Some sort of like promo cards for the TCG, something like that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Because
They were going crazy with the Van Gogh ones, and people couldn't get them. People were mad.
The last time I did TCG news, this might not have been on Pokemon Day, but it might have been during the Pokemon Presents, was when they were we're re-releasing like the original 151.
Yeah, the
like,
151 set.
151 set.
That was an alright set, you know.
Yeah.
No, not the 151 Scarlet and Violet set, but like it was like
I thought you were talking about.
it was like it was like a deluxe set where it had like the original holographic Charizard.
Oh,
and then, like,
I know
the
what you're
holographic
talking about.
Venusaur,
Yeah,
but it wasn't the 151 Scarlet Violet set. I forget
Yeah.
what it was called though.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So in that case, moving forward, there is one more topic aside from like, Pokemon Day, because there was we've already talked about how we have the best selling Pokemon games. And how it doesn't matter what Pokemon company does, seems like stuff is selling like hotcakes. So
Yeah.
I got a question: are gamers stupid?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll touch on
Very stupid.
So the reason for this is so recently there was a really viral tweet that popped off, and it's because more screenshots of the Final Fantasy VII remake came out, right?
Yeah.
And there was a ledge, and the ledge had some yellow paint on it, signifying like,
you
like
can
you're
climb
supposed to
onto
be
it,
like going up. Like this is a object in the environment that you can interact with, right?
Yeah.
And so some people were like, oh, the yellow paint virus is infecting Final Fantasy VII, blah blah blah. And so many people were posting screenshots of like, oh yeah, this has been in so many different action games, from Uncharted or Resident Evil 4.
Because otherwise, gamers aren't going to go there.
So that's actually funny because
Yeah.
that's probably also what you're referencing. But the Portal devs said that they had to literally add arrows and stuff.
Literally,
because they're like, gamers literally would not look up unless they were told to look up.
If I can interject, I do think you're right, but I also think there's a natural way to do it, and then there's putting bright yellow stuff everywhere.
I mean, but at the same time, I think it also depends on the visual language of the game. Like, if you want someone to go somewhere and you don't really have the luxury of saying, let's lean this hallway in this direction, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it's like a more open space or whatever. I didn't see the specific tweet you were talking about, so I could be wrong. But it's just like, sometimes you need to be explicit in order to have people do a thing, because otherwise they won't do the thing, you know?
And I'm not saying that's bad, but take a game like Doom, for example. Doom 2016, because I haven't played Eternal. They have green lights to indicate where you're going, but it never feels out of place because it's a science lab.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you know you're supposed to go through the green lights, but it's not like, follow the yellow paint, guys.
Yeah.
Or I think the game that does this the best that I've played is God of War, not Ragnarok 2018, where they have these Nordic runes that fit in perfectly. They tell you where to go. But my favorite part is that there's an actual story significant reason for them being there that you don't know until you beat the game.
And that's the thing, like, can every game do that? Maybe we can argue that every game maybe kind of should, but not every game can realistically do that, especially for something that's as constrained as kind of a remake is. You know what I'm saying?
But I at least feel like they could put in something that's more natural to the environment than just yellow paint.
But at the same time, my thing is I don't want to act like devs are stupid. Because if they're going as far as to use yellow paint, it probably means that they've been doing iterations of this with their playtesters, and people just aren't getting it. So they're like, you know what, fine. Like, if this gets people to do what they need to do so they can feel a sense of accomplishment and they can move forward in the game, just let them do it.
That's fair.
Because let's be real, not everyone really enjoys the process of, I guess I'll run around this level and figure out what I can interact with. Lego game syndrome.
Like, I feel like sometimes, like, obviously, you know, I'll take my gamer card away. But it's one of those things where, all right, like, I'm down to figure something out. But, like, I'll never forget I was playing Perfect Dark, and I was running around trying to find, like, I was like, man, where's the switch for this thing? And, like, I genuinely was getting a headache because, like, I was like, it can only be in this spot. But, like, I'm quite literally running around the entire place, and I can't find it. Only to be like, oh, okay, it's in this, like, little notch in this, like, part of the wall. And I was like, okay, well. That's cool.
And it's like sometimes moments like that are great, but then other times they're just kind of frustrating. And maybe we can talk about like our lack of attention span these days, but sometimes I really just want the game to let me get past a small hurdle so I can get to the fun part. Because I think where the issue is, it's like I'll have fun section, small 10-minute section where I have no idea what's going on and I'm frustrated. And I'll have another section of things that I like. But that 10 minutes where I'm not having fun, I really could have switched to another game. That entire point. I really could have switched, y'all. You know?
I was like, oh, man, maybe this is something I should figure out later. So, but, I mean, it sucks, too, because, like, you don't want to feel dirty by being like, oh, like, I don't want to lower the difficulty.
Or, like, lower But it's just, like, I've been trying to, like, reason with myself about, like, especially with, like, using guides and looking things up. I'm like, all right, like, I want to get enjoyment out of this game because I'm interacting with it, right? Which is a good thing, and that's cool. Because I've struggled with this a lot with, like, the FromSoft games, especially with, like, Elden Ring. Because I'm just like, at first I'm like, I don't want to look up a guide so I can figure out a build because, like, I feel like it takes away some of the authenticity of me playing this game. But at the same time, I'm like, listen, I'm 100 hours into, like, Elden Ring. I'm, like, 2 characters deep because I restarted, like, once or twice. And I'm like, I haven't beat this game. And honestly, the playstyle I'm trying to go for isn't really working out. Do I want to keep trying to force myself to do something that, like, I want to make work, but I don't know how to make work? Or do I just want to look up a guide and then have fun that way? You know what I'm saying? It's like, sometimes I think you have to have a little room to, like, change your expectations to still have fun. Because otherwise, it's just like, if I'm trying to run a guts build in Elden Ring and I'm like, I'm trying to, like, force my build into this way and it's not working, it's either I find a way to make it work or I'm not going to touch this game for, like, another year.
As one of the many kids who struggle with the water temple in Ocarina of Time, I was gotta say, man, it really took it out of me for a while, actually. When I had to look up a guide for that game because I was like, oh, like,
because I'm stupid.
Like, I was like, I guess I'm dumb. Like, so, like, what do I do with this new information now that I'm an idiot?
And it's so crazy, like, right? Because remember when you could go to a game store and you could get the Prima official guide for whatever game that you wanted to get right there? Back in the day?
I kind of miss those.
That's what I'm saying.
I miss them.
My thing with that is, like, I'm no stranger to looking up guides. I'll tell you this right now. If I don't know it, this started probably in Zelda. Yeah, like I grew up on Zelda. Like almost every Zelda game, I've looked up guides, and I really don't care because I've already grinded so many hours in the game. I was doing different things. I was trying to get my horse. I was doing all these different side quests. I'm like, this one little there's 4 temples. But me looking up guides, like, it's not gonna be the end all be all. I'm like, I enjoy the game, but just interacting with people, fighting these monsters, like, at night. I was like, specifically Ocarina at the time, like, I remember vividly, I'm sitting there, my phone like on the table. I'm like looking at
Literally.
a guy trying to figure out the same thing. It's like if you look up a guide in Minecraft and you're like, oh, like this is how you build or this is how you do X, Y, and Z. Like
that was me with the
there's no
Persona
difference.
5 with all the questions in school because I was like,
Me too.
If this is gonna boost my stats, I don't really want to like be betting on. Can I do this mental math or know this random trivia question?
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I,
like,
I feel like almost looking at a guy kind of shows like you're actually invested in the game because like
Yeah, that's a
you know
good way to
very
put
much
it.
like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like like I don't really want to look at a guy, but then like I'll notice that like I'm gonna DNF the game, like I'm not gonna finish it.
Yeah.
And like I'll never forget the one time I approached a very important decision. If you play Fire Emblem Three Houses, I approached a very important decision in the middle of the Black Eagles route, and I was just sitting there like, I'm gonna look up a guy. I'm gonna look up a guy.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like I care about doing the right thing. in this
Exactly.
game. Well, not doing the right thing,
Or at
but
least
more
doing
so
what you want to do.
Like I want to make sure I'm not locking myself out to something I want to do.
Mhm.
Let me
Yeah.
just look at this guide and see
Exactly.
like, oh, like we're not gonna spoil it for you, but if you want to do this, this, and this, I would go this option or this option. So
I feel like what's your criteria for determining if you're gonna use a guide in a game or if you're gonna try to thug it out and like figure it out yourself?
How long am I stuck?
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that,
Literally.
and also, can I sense that I'm making progress? Because like if I try like 5 different things and it doesn't work, let's say I'm trying to open a door or something.
Yeah.
Like I try 5 different things and the door just doesn't open. It won't ever give you a hint like, oh, like the door is opening a little bit more. It's always like it's open or it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So in that instance, like I just like would look up a guide. But like if I'm like, this build is good, but it could be better.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to make it better. I'm going to look up a guide. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
I think for me,
But like, if I notice like, okay, like this unit isn't great now, but like, I still have like this part in the story to reach and this part. So like, let
Exactly.
me wait. So
yeah.
I might do something like that.
I think for me, it's definitely just how much I'm enjoying it for real. Like if I really am just like, dude, I'm not enjoying this right now. I just want to get past this and hopefully it'll get better. And sometimes it's
Exactly.
like that. I'm just gonna look up the guide real quick, and I'm gonna like just I'm just gonna go through it because I used to be the exact same way. I used to be like, oh, I'm not. I used to play League of Legends. I was like, I'm not looking up the best
My gamer
guides. for the
pride.
game. And I used to have them all written down. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing
When
this.
I used to play League, I looked those up all the time. Dude, people would always be like, oh, like what you run. I'm like, bro, it says buy that potion, buy this. And I buy it.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
Yeah,
I was
like-
like, I turn off my brain.
Literally, and sometimes games like that is like they just require you to be good at the skills and what you need to do.
Exactly.
Forget the items stuff because there's thousands of items in the game. Everything's being added and deleted. They take things out. You don't need to worry about that. Be good at like the skills and like actually just trying to like
And
work
playing
with your
the
team.
game,
And just
that's the
playing the
thing.
game.
Yeah,
and, like
that's
that's all
how-
I cared about. So
that's how I approached it with Monster Hunter. Where I'm just like, okay, like if there's specific materials, I started that with Monster Hunter 4 actually because I was like, this game is so obtuse with the way it explains
Yeah.
how like systems work and where I can get stuff and how to upgrade. I'm gonna look up stuff so I can like get the weapons I want, and I'm gonna look up guides to learn how they work. But it's not taking away my autonomy of. Because I'm gonna have to be the one playing the game. I'm the one fighting the monster. I'm the one utilizing those things.
Literally.
Exactly.
And another thing I would say is definitely a time constraint too. Like if I know I have a certain amount of time to play the game, right? And let's say I have work or whatever, and I know like, dang, like I know I'm in this part and I know it's gonna take a while, but shoot, let me just look this up real quick so I can do it. And I'm still gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna do that same thing. Like sometimes I don't have time to look around the whole open world and grind it out and thug it out. I don't have time for that.
Especially
I
these
just,
days.
yeah, literally. So I'm like, we're getting in this open world type of, this
Like a lot
this
of
trend
stuff.
of just like a lot of these games are kind of going that route, which is cool. Sometimes it's a little empty. I'm not looking to go around the globe. I'm really not. So I'm just, I just want to get straight to the point sometimes, and I think that's fine. Honestly.
Going off of that, more content or less content?
It depends on the genre.
Expand on that. I want to know what you're thinking about that.
I think I just played Final Fantasy. It's an open
16,
world.
right?
Yes. So it's open world was pretty big. There was hella content. There was, to say the least. I'm talking about like I clocked in 70. The game was like, if you want to finish, it was like at least 140, 150. So like there was a lot.
It's decent, Tane.
Yes, there was a lot of content, and I was doing
Are
side
you sure
quests.
it's really double that number though? Because I mean, I think like what's a 100%
Well, it said-
Persona
it said-
5 is like 500.
I mean, if you're 100%, not that much. I mean,
No, like 100%ing it. Like
Oh,
I think it's more than that probably, but it was a lot. And it was just like not to say that it felt empty or nothing like that, because it was always engaging. There's a lot of dialogue in those type of games, and I didn't know that. It's like, oh, like I low key, as the game progressed, I felt immersed, so I didn't mind it. Certain games, I don't feel that immersed. Okay, so it just depends on the genre. Like I think for Final Fantasy, it can work. There's more content there. Some games scale back on that content. You can get straight to the point, but it's an RPG. I know what I'm getting out of it. You just need to know if you buy a game like Horizon. It's a good idea. Too much content, not doing it. I'm not to say I played 1 and 2. I beat 1 and 2.
Do you feel like the content wasn't worth it wasn't worth having that much?
It wasn't worth having that much at all. Like the story was fine in 1. The story in 2 was okay. They tried to expand it. I didn't really care. 1 was just being laid out. Like I finished, I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, the combat is okay. It's cool. Yeah. It's giving me this type of archer, this type of slash combat system. The dodging wasn't great, but it was like. I know what I want out of it, and the story was fine, and I clocked in at least 30 hours into it. And for me, like, I know I'm going to enjoy a game depending on the amount of hours I put into it, right? So if a certain time is 20, I'm putting in 25, 40. I like the game a lot. But there are certain times where I would do a bunch of side quests, and I'm spending 10, 15 hours. I'm like, I haven't even passed the first act of the game. So it's like, how much is it really worth doing all this?
And then it's like, is it side quest that you're doing because you want to versus side quest that it's forcing you to do to get through the game?
I'm not a completionist. I promise you. I'm not trying. I don't 100% majority of my games, right? But there's certain times where I'm like, oh, this is actually worth 100%ing. So it's just
Spider-Man PS4.
Exactly. It just depends really on the genre or what type of game you play, and that's about it for me.
I would definitely say I interact with less content than it normally is. Like, I think a good example would be like Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
Some people were doing this, and this with it, and like I was like, well, for some instances, of course, it was a creativity thing where it's like people were being creative this way. Like I was being creative in ways, with the game, like interacting in certain ways, but there were certain things where it's like, oh, doing this quest and this quest. Like I was like, okay, like I don't really
care
like
that much.
Bro,
I didn't even know you could get a house in the first Breath of the Wild. I did not realize that until way later.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy though. So, but I will never advocate for less content because I feel like gamers should have the ability to at least be like, oh, like I like this game a lot. I want to interact with this game more and more and more. Like I mean, like something like 3 Houses, which I did everything possible in 3 Houses, right? Like. I wouldn't have just wanted there to be less content there, but I think there's, content for the sake of content and like content
that like kind
actually
of fits exactly.
Where it's like, oh, I mean, our game has to have a skill tree because all games have skill trees.
Yeah,
and our game has to have abilities because all games have abilities. So like, it's like, just the content has to be there for a reason. Like, put a skill tree in because you think a skill tree is the right way to actually like
it just makes
hold
sense
all
for
these
your
different
game.
Abilities for your character, but yeah.
That's fair. It's like kind of determining like, do you actually need to fill this up in this specific way, or is there another way that you can get as much satisfaction without necessarily like just throwing things into it for the sake of it?
And just going off of it, I think we in this like space of like gaming where gamers get upset if a game is too long, and then gamers get upset if a game is too short.
It's such a weird argument, honestly.
And I never understood because we saw that with the Spider-Man, with the game of the year, basically, when that controversy stuff was going on. When people were like, you're paying $60, $70 for a 12 to 15 hour game, and this and
I'm satisfied.
But if you're happy with the game, who cares?
Literally.
Nobody's worried about the hours.
Yeah.
It says, IGN, I promise you, they're going to tell you all the stats about the game, how long it's going to take to beat, plus the side quest. You're not spending more than 20 hours. I mean, sometimes you are, depending if you just want to keep playing it.
Exactly.
But realistically, some people beat that game in a day, which is insane. I feel like you can't. That's
wild
20 hours to beat in one day.
Really no lifing it.
Yeah, that's really grinding the game out. Me personally, I didn't do that. It took me about 2 weeks. I just took my time with it. I just liked the story. I was fine with it, and regardless if it's 10 hours or 30 hours, I'm taking my time with the game. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's just enjoy what you play. This argument of just long and short games has no relevance to how much you
because I feel like there's relevance to it if, for example, like you're a dad. You come home from work,
Literally.
right? You come home, maybe you have like an hour or two after you put the kids to bed and after dinner to play a game. Maybe you don't want to spend 300 hours in like Xenoblade 3. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
But at that point, it's your issue. It's your issue of, do I want to put my energy into this or do I want to put into a different type of game?
Yeah.
I think in those situations, talking about the time it takes to complete a game is profitable. But it's like, we're really out here putting like all these metrics and stats on how worth it a game is on like a minute by minute, dollar by dollar basis.
Yeah.
When at the end of the day, if I'm having fun, like, am I going to say that if I play like checkers with my dad twice in a year, that because it took us 20 minutes, but it took me like a 15-minute drive and like, I don't know, the $10 or $15 worth of gas, it wasn't worth it. It's like, bro, what is that?
Literally.
I find myself when I'm more like stressed actually enjoying shorter games too.
Yeah.
Because they're games that I can sit down with, play for an hour or two, and be
dude.
like, I made tangible
Literally.
progress.
Ultra
Or
Kill
games
was that
you
for
can't
me.
necessarily
Yeah.
beat, because I know that, especially when I've been in stressful seasons, like personally, letting people know on the pod, like I love The Sims. Like, that game there's no true
There's no
objective to that
ending to
game.
it.
Yeah.
But like I booted up, I'm like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm just chilling. Like, I have like
Exactly.
probably over
That's
300
vibes,
hours
man.
in The Sims.
That's what I'm
3.
saying. Dude,
Like,
Animal Crossing during the
I was gonna
pandemic.
say, yeah, Animal Crossing, like you can't really beat
you beat Animal Crossing?
but like it's one of those things where it's just like that doesn't mean the game is worthless.
Exactly.
You can't beat it. Like
That's the thing.
but I mean, it's one of those things where I've already mentioned how I used to struggle with this, where I used to look at games where it's like, oh, like this game will take me this many hours, and like I want to play this game later, and it's like I'm not enjoying this game because I'm thinking about playing
And
this
that's the
game
thing.
later,
Mhm.
and like I want to make sure I get this many games in this amount of time.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like just enjoy
Do
a
what you
game,
like,
which is
you
why
know?
like even. Which is why this month I've been like, all right, like I'm gonna play some RPGs.
Yeah.
Play some RPGs.
Just going off the vibes.
Because
it's like oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Just to say what you say. The only time I ever do that is when I know I try to plan out, like, let's say if I have a break coming for like spring break or whatever, I'm like, okay, I want to pick up Elden Ring because I know it's gonna be at least 30 hours, and I know I can clock it in and I can finish it in like 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, I'll pick that up. I'm not gonna play Elden Ring right now per se, just because when school's ramping,
Yeah.
I know it's so choppy. I'm only gonna have like an hour-ish a day, like. It's gonna be tough to play, but I'll play something that's 15, 20 hours. I can squeeze that in. Like playing Pokemon 2 right now. I'm playing a couple hours a day. I'm almost done with the game. I'm having fun.
too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
and I'm just chilling with it. Like it's something I can just pick up. Same thing with like Super Mario Wonder when I was playing it.
Yeah.
I picked it up. I played it for a couple hours, put it down. A couple days went by, I did it again. That game is very easy. It's 12 hours to
Exactly.
finish.
Yeah.
I can do it any time.
And you know what? Even like going off of that, it's interesting how like my usage of like my Switch and my handhelds has changed as I went through college.
Yeah.
Because when I was in high school, when I was in high school when I first got my Switch, I was playing a lot of things in like console mode, on the TV. I was playing a lot of like Splatoon on the TV. I was playing a lot of stuff like I guess Monster Hunter to a little extent, but not as much early on. A lot of stuff that I was like sitting down, like Zelda I was playing. A lot of stuff I was sitting down with, really. You know what I'm saying? But as I've gotten older, I started playing a lot more things that I'm playing in handheld mode. I can like finish a monster in Monster Hunter in like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or I can like sit down and like do like a bit of a dungeon in Labyrinth of Refrain or something like that. Or like especially I've been picking up stuff on my Vita lately, and I'm like, dude, I can like get a couple levels in on Muramasa or on Odin Sphere, and like I can have a great time, but not worry about, man, I really need to sit down with this game and have to plug in like 4 hours to get anything meaningful
like,
out
all right,
of it.
like
You know?
I'm here, like put my
Exactly.
seatbelt on, hunker it in, like
Yeah.
It's one thing I love, especially out of handheld. It's very easy to do because I've been experiencing like kind of a renaissance with my 3DS where like I'm just like, all right, like my 3DS, it's always on my bedside. It's like right before I go to bed, talk to my girlfriend, play a 3DS game, go to bed.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. I definitely agree. That's why I've been liking the Steam Deck, just honestly. Like,
Just enjoying games in chunks, man.
Yeah, and it's like PC games I can still play. Like I can play Elden Ring all
Exactly.
day in bed. Like, like I don't have to get up. Sometimes I literally just don't feel like sitting down. Like,
I feel
just,
that.
like standing up like this. I just want to lay down. So it's.
I've been thinking about getting a Steam Deck for like that exact reason.
I think it's worth it. It really is. But I know you already have a PC, don't you? Or
No, I'm thinking about building a PC when I get out of college.
Okay.
I'm thinking build your PC first because I'm like, for me personally with the Steam Deck, I'm waiting for the next generation of it.
Yeah.
Because next generation is probably going to be both more powerful, have better battery, and probably OLED out the gate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hopefully. So that's what I'm waiting
I
for with that. You know?
Shout out to
Unlike them Switch 2 rumors.
LCD.
I mean,
is crazy.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I'm still gonna get it.
Yeah, I don't really like. I don't have any great expectations for. Like, I mean, it's just gonna be a little more powerful.
They're probably
right?
gonna give us 9 months and then give us the OLED one, and then I'm gonna get that one too, and then sell my.
I just hope.
Man,
I hope it's not PS4, PS5 situation where it's like,
I know,
I
right?
love my PS4. Oh, I get my Switch 2, and I'm like, well, I could have just had the Switch 1 for
Yeah,
a
I
couple
know,
more months
right?
and waited,
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, all right, so I talked about, kind of how gamers kind of negatively react to things,
Yeah.
off rip sometimes. But what's not been getting negative reaction lately? Sonic. Sonic is back, or is he?
Is he back?
Now, Sonic has had a rough transition into 3D. We know that.
Well, I feel like that's a really revolutionary idea, Oscar.
I know,
I
right?
feel like-
No one's talked about this
No one's
before,
ever talked
ever.
about Sonic
First
having a rough
podcast.
transition.
First podcast to ever talk about
You
this.
can only
yeah.
find original ideas here. Nowhere else.
Only
Only
original
original.
idea.
Everywhere else is copying us. I don't
Exactly.
care how
this
early
is not
they came.
derivative. This is completely original.
Exactly. And so, I think a cool thing that we've been seeing is that, the Sonic franchise is being more active in the 2020s. You got the Sonic movie, obviously. We have
Come on
Two
now.
whole Sonic movies. We got
Yeah,
2
man.
coming up.
Movies.
Yeah.
A Sonic mainline game. We had, of course, 3D Sonic mainline game, 2D Sonic mainline game, but
Say him now.
Frontiers and
Let's get it, baby. Come on now.
superstars. Recently, new gamers reveal Sonic Shadow Generations.
Sonic X Shadow Generations. Thank you.
Which,
We're shipping them in this
as I
house.
said, will definitely produce Google search results, which will not be amazing. But, go ahead.
They had to know what they were doing. I'm sorry, but they
But,
had to. I'm sorry.
How do you feel about the game?
Like the new announcement?
Yeah, like the trailer and all that.
I'm here for it.
Anything
man.
Shadow, I'm happy for.
Anything,
honestly.
bruh.
I mean,
He needs more.
I'm gonna be dead
attention.
honest with you. I'm gonna be dead honest with you. Since I was a kid, I've been a bigger Shadow fan than a
I
Sonic
think
fan.
every Sonic fan low key has been though. I think Sonic
Every
is
Sonic fan
is a
goes that
cover up.
phase, as I said.
You either like Silver, Shadow,
Silver's up
Knuckles.
there.
You really don't like Sonic the main.
Silver's
like,
my favorite Sonic.
I love
Yeah, that's
Silver.
what I'm saying.
I wish
we
they
need more
put-
stuff with Silver.
Literally,
We need more
Has
stuff.
he literally
I'm saying
only
this.
been in 06?
The issue with Silver is that Shadow debuted in one of the best 3D Sonic games of all time.
Yeah.
Silver debuted in the worst 3D Sonic game of all time.
you
So
hate
that's
to see
why
that. That's true.
Sega was like, at least with Blaze debuted in a very good
I was about to
2D
say,
Sonic
Yeah,
game.
that was
They
really
should have
good.
thrown dude into like a rush game. I think so would
Yeah.
have been perfect for something like that.
Yeah.
But,
The moveset would have been fired.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. I need. Don't get me wrong. I love Sonic. I think it's just they could just do more with their games, man. Like I really. Yeah, I'm excited
Yeah.
for the game. I really. Am.
I think it's gonna be cool.
So,
Come on, spit it out.
I think Shadow is overrated.
Wrong.
But-
that's wrong.
But-
That's just wrong.
I like him.
bro doesn't understand his aura.
That's what I'm saying.
I like him.
Opium.
Yeah, opium.
Nothing personnel, kid.
I like him a lot. I
Have I
think
ever shown you a Shadow AMV to a rock band?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
I think
Had
I
me
need
in
to
a
show
choke.
you know
It really did though.
I've never seen one before. That might change my mind.
I think
Oh,
it's
we
going
gotta
to.
pull it.
No. What makes me say that is I feel like his characterization nowadays is kind of blah.
Well, because they keep doing the same arc with him. Like watching people do Shadow content is like watching us, like watching them re-release Xenoverse. It's just like, Maria,
Exactly.
and then a couple
Yeah.
years later, Maria, and it's like, bro,
Maria, I'll begrudgingly work with Sonic and Friends. I'll go back to not acting like they're my
Literally.
friends. Maria, I'll begrudgingly work with Sonic and Friends.
and what's
I'll
so
go back to acting
criminal
like
to
they're not
me,
my
dude,
friends.
is like, again, you look at any comic, especially the Archie ones, dude's power set is insane. Like,
Yeah.
do you know how many things you could do with a Shadow game that was good? Dude, even, I know no one played this game, but Sonic Battles, one of my favorite GBA titles of all time. It was like, basically like a 2.5D fighter with all these different Sonic characters. Shadow's whole, like, moveset was so fun. You had teleports,
moveset,
you had, like, a bunch of ranged Chaos Energy attacks, you had a bunch of up-close Chaos Energy attacks. Why aren't we seeing him use more Chaos Control, bro? Dude, one of my favorite Sonic Universe panels is him, like, he's, like, fighting, what is,
Energize?
No, he's fighting Jet
Oh,
from Sonic
never mind,
Riders,
never mind.
dude. And like he's literally teleporting to keep up with him and fighting at the same time. Do you know how hard that is?
Ugh.
Yeah.
Dog. Go ahead, though. Before
Um,
I'm gonna keep talking about
Yeah.
Shadow,
Yeah.
man.
So I will, and it's one of those things where it's like, and for the exact same reasons that you just mentioned, I think that's part of why he is. But I love his design. I like his power set a lot. However, I also feel like he doesn't need to be in every game. Like I know when they were talking about Frontiers DLC, Luke, I think specifically was like, I want Shadow in this game so bad. And I'm like, he doesn't really have a reason to be in Frontiers though.
I mean, in a way, though, like, yeah, but like,
But I want to see
the
him there
thing is,
though.
though, is that, like, people want him to be a part of the main cast because, like,
Yeah.
in a way, he's kind of
He's
the same
earned
way
it
with,
at
like,
this point.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's in a way where it's like, yo, up until Sonic Boom, Amy wasn't really a part of the main cast. But then she became a part of the main cast. Some of it was because it's like, I mean, you know, it would be nice to have a female character be a part of the main
Exactly.
cast. Like, but I mean, overall, it's like Amy had been so long, she'd be like kind of on these outskirts of like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Like, you know, bringing her into the fold. Was
And
kind
that's
of
what I'm
weird,
saying.
too.
She's been in enough
And
games
so, like,
too, you know.
Like most other spots, you know, the rival was kind of like also there, or, or at least in
Exactly.
close proximity. Like, you know, Mario has Wario, and like it's not like Nintendo ever forgets about Wario completely.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah.
And so like to have Shadow like be at least a little bit more close by, which I really like, and I get the vibe that like Sonic and Shadow Generation is doing is like, okay, yo, we're kind of bringing Shadow a little closer to the limelight. We're acknowledging Shadow the Hedgehog, which
Yeah,
is crazy
that's what I'm
because like back
saying.
then I was thinking, I was like, the two games Sonic Team never acknowledges
06
are
and
06
Shadow.
and Shadow the
Yo,
Hedgehog. So
And it's dude, it's like even going off of your
reminds
Wario,
me.
even if
Yeah,
going off your
that's
Wario example, like dude, Wario has his own section of games.
Yeah.
They're
Wario
really
is
good
weird.
games too.
Yeah.
They're
Like
really
the
good
Wario's
games.
Land and WarioWare.
It's so funny,
Dude.
because I know a ton of people loved Pizza Tower, but Pizza Tower is literally inspired off the
Wario
Wario
Land,
game. Like,
yes.
It
Wario
is
Land.
so inspired by it that literally, like, their level design is the exact same as Wario Land 4, to the point that the time running out thing has an audio clip from Wario Land 4.
That's
the
so
little,
crazy.
the little
That is
hello there. That's from Wario Land 4.
See, that's wild. I'm telling you, bro. Why doesn't Shadow have that?
I think he should.
He's
So
too edgy
should.
for kids,
The
man.
reason I think a big reason
be
the Shadow
shooting
doesn't have that is because his past is a little troubled in terms
Yeah,
of
for
like,
real.
you know, Sonic being like Sonic Team being like, why did we give a
Give
hedgehog
a
a
gun?
gun? Like, it's like,
Hey,
why do we do that? But like, also think too where Shadow has the most, because Ian Flynn was saying Shadow has the most restrictions on him.
Yeah,
Easily
Yeah.
compared to every other. They're like, we can only do one thing with Shadow, and it's bring him to help fight the bad guy, and he has to
Literally.
leave immediately.
Maria!
It's like,
Wild man.
If I could interject, I feel like I've said that 5 times now, but point being,
no, it's all good.
yeah, so I don't have a problem with Shadow being added into Generations at all. I think it's a really cool addition, despite what I just said about Frontiers.
Yeah.
And I think it's one that deserves to be there because Shadow's such a legendary
Yeah.
character, and Generations is a celebration of the franchise as a whole. I hope it doesn't get the colors treatment, where it was just super glitchy and not great.
Oh yeah, it was not a good port at all. No.
But on the topic of
Colors just seems like the game the team just like is like, this is the milking game. It has the wisps, which they milked out of it.
Yeah.
It has like a lot of things that came out of Colors. Like, I'm glad people are recognizing Colors isn't as good as they think it is. Sorry, continue, son.
on the topic of Sonic characters that I think deserve a spinoff, hear me out on this. An entire game that's just the Knuckles levels from Adventures.
I don't know.
I
feel like there's
I can
potential.
tolerate the Knuckles levels in the Adventures games. I don't know if I want a whole game of them.
Really? I like them a lot.
Like, I think they're cool, but like, it's different me putting down money just for that.
Exactly.
You know what
Fair,
I mean?
fair, fair.
I thought you were gonna say something spicy like a new Espio game or like a Knuckles Chaotix game.
Well,
that would have
that's-
been cool.
Well, what was I going to
Just
say?
the Knuckles levels? I
The
don't know,
Streets
man.
need a solo Blaze game.
Oh,
Honestly,
okay. Now we can talk.
He's kind of cooking. He's
Now we
kind of
can
cooking.
talk.
Like a Sonic Rush 3
Yeah,
type thing.
I kind of really. I'm not. Maybe it's me being nostalgia blind, but I kind of really want another sprite-based Sonic game
Oh, I would
because the
love another
GBA and the
sprite-based
DS ones were so
No, they were really
clean.
good.
Sonic Advance, Sonic
Yes.
Rush.
They were
The
really
Advanced trilogy does not get talked about.
It is so
enough.
underrated, bro.
Amazing. So,
Mhm.
Ryan, one of my friends
From Mount Union?
from Mount Union,
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Orders.
The Ryan.
Driven in the
Yep.
purple like a Raider.
Yes. the Ryan
okay.
from Mount Union.
He is currently like on a Sonic kick right now because
I love that.
Because back when Frontiers came out, he was making fun of the fact that the reviews are bad and blah blah.
It looks like an Unreal Engine 5 demo, yeah.
Right, and I was like, okay. But then he played Frontiers and he was like, I actually really like Frontiers. I was like, okay, bro.
Oh, what a shocker!
I was
What a
like,
shocker!
oh. But so he's currently playing like some other Sonic games.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, this game's also pretty cool. Like, have you heard of the advanced games? I'm like, oh yeah, those are cool. Like, you should check those out. But like, I just think the advanced games don't really get the shine.
They're
that they
really
do.
They don't.
underrated,
Because,
dog. The dual team mechanic of just
friendly.
having two characters, but your second character affects what abilities you have for the first one. Where like if you had Sonic and Tails, Tails could like throw you up or whatever. Or like if you had like Amy, she could do a similar thing. Or like Sonic would just like make you go really, really fast. Dude, man, we needed more of that for sure. Sonic has like there's such a big variety of things you can do with Sonic. It's kind of wild to me, right? Because like in the same vein of like, oh, we have like an ensemble like character driven like RPG almost with Sonic Adventure. You also have Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. You have a whole racing game. But then like you also have like stuff like Sonic Rush and you have stuff like Sonic Battle and you just have like so many different things. Like if you could pick like another genre for like the Sonic franchise to like dip its toe in, what would you pick?
RPGs. And it should not be like the Dark Chronicles.
I was about to
Brotherhood.
say because that's the
Sonic
only one I
Brotherhood
can
and
think
Dark
about.
Chronicles or
Yeah.
something, yeah. I
What
think
was
a
up with that
Sonic
game?
R-
Because I never played it.
It was developed by Dimps, which I think was a studio that did. I forget. They did like this really flimsy port on the DS of a Sonic game, but it was just really jank. Like it wasn't good, honestly. Like the mechanics were just like the graphics were just like
It was on the DS,
gameplay
right? It
was
wasn't even on
Yeah.
3DS. It was on the regular
Yeah, it was on
DS.
the
Because I remember
DS,
seeing
yeah.
like commercials for that when it came out.
I feel
And,
like it was
stuff
like
comic books, you know.
I feel like it was
The
almost
cool
a
stuff it did was expand on Echidna stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it was almost a response to Mario and Luigi as an RPG
That's
franchise.
a real take. That's
Um,
spicy.
I don't know. 'Cause
I don't
Mario
know
Luigi
how-
started off on the GBAs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it every single sequel after that was on
It was
the
on the
DS.
DS,
onwards.
yeah, and they were
I don't
going,
know
they
how
were going
true
crazy
that
at
is.
the time.
I don't know how true that is. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
That is interesting though.
But some days I feel like the Sonic franchise is at a spot where like it knows where it's at right now, and there are other days where I feel like the Sonic franchise is trying to relive its glory days as like Nintendo's rival. And I feel like it goes back and forth.
I feel like the only Sonic game I ever thought was the direct response to one game was Wonder, which is weird because, and I mentioned this because I reviewed this game on my backlog, but the Sonic Superstars, even though it feels like a response to Wonder, it's weird because, of course, they came out on the same day.
Yeah.
But, like, Superstars definitely
That's so
tries to
wild.
be like, all right, like, we heard you guys like Mania, and, we're trying to also be like, hey, old Sonic is back, but he's got a new coat of paint, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, but this isn't fun. This isn't a good game. So
I didn't play it though. I
I
didn't
did
know
not pick it up.
it wasn't hitting like that.
no, it wasn't good. I got halfway through, and I was just turning off my brain with it. I was like,
That's
I just want
wild.
to get through the game. And then I got to this one Eggman boss that was because normally they're like, all right, like you're in this spot with Eggman or whatever, and like there's one gimmick, but like ultimately it's like hit him like five times
and then you're done.
and then he's dead. But this one thing was like you have to hit him in this specific spot another time, even though you've hit him 5 times. You have to hit him in this specific spot, and I couldn't land it exactly, and it was just super frustrated. And I was like, I already don't care about this game. I already think it's half this thing is AI generated or something. And I was like, and this boss is frustrating. We're done here. I'm dropping it. So, but yeah, so that is one game where I was like, why would I play this when I could literally just play Mario Wonder? And I did. I was like, all right, I'm done.
Or even just
I'm
go
gonna
back and play
for
freaking Sonic 3 and Knuckles,
Yeah.
Great game.
or Mania or yeah, pretty much everything else.
It is still
that's not that.
Yeah. Like, do you feel like at this point, like, do you feel like maybe it's like Sega or maybe like more Sonic team is just like unsure of what makes Sonic successful now?
Yes.
Yeah.
No hesitation.
I would agree. Yeah. I think they've done so many different things, which is kind of wild now that you say it. Like, they really have dipped their toes in, like, different genres. And I'm like, when I think of Sonic, I don't know. There's not a direct thing where I'm like, yes, this is Sonic.
Because when you think of Mario, you're thinking of like either 2D platformer or 3D platformer.
Super Mario Bros. That's literally all I think about, right? But Sonic is like, it's just kind of it's there.
You're asking yourself, what is Sonic?
I don't even know like what it's even.
I think in a way, Sonic was unlucky because the 2D games having a very high speed platformer in the 2D sense works very well. Yeah. Like I don't think there's because. Only when I grew up did I learn that people didn't really like Sonic CD, and I was like, I love Sonic CD. So, but like having a 2D high-speed platformer is different than having a high-speed 3D platformer. So when Sonic Adventure didn't hit the same way the Super Mario 64 hit, because Super Mario 64 took the world by storm.
Yeah, that's true.
And changed video games
it literally
for
changed
a very
the
long time. And Sonic Adventure didn't really do that, even though a lot of people were looking forward to it. And Sonic Adventure 2, of course, although it's heralded as an amazing game, it also didn't do the exact same thing on release. And so Sonic Team was kind of like, okay, like how do we like, where do we kind of go from here? So they were kind of trying like, all right, like let's do the trio thing from Heroes. Right, that didn't work. Let's give our character a gun and make it a shooter. Like, that didn't work.
Let's add humans.
Let's add humans. Let's have them hold a sword. Let's. Like
let's have them run up to some secret rings.
Yeah,
let's have them turn into a werewolf.
I don't know what they're doing with that. I really don't.
That is true.
Of course, we're not saying anything revolutionary here.
Exactly.
But like, I think it generally was a thing where it's like, maybe Sonic Team would have stuck in that same direction if, because Sonic 1 was seen as they changed the game.
Yeah.
Sonic 2 was seen as like they changed the game. You know what I'm saying? So like, if they kind of got that reaction from Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, then like. Maybe Sonic would have a more cohesive vision than it does.
Although I do want to, real quick, I do want to bring up though, maybe that's kind of the strength of the character in the franchise. You can really do whatever with Sonic, and it still kind of works. You know what I'm saying? Even if it doesn't fully land, it's still something that people can really appreciate. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the whole reason Sonic Frontiers was even possible.
Yes, I was gonna say. Now this is what I was gonna say. I know you harp on open world. Sonic open world makes sense.
It does.
It literally does.
It low-key makes more sense than Mario. I'm going to be honest. It makes way more sense than open world Mario.
It literally does. Yes. That's what I want to see more of. In my opinion, if they want to do anything with the franchise,
Sonic transition to open world permanently.
Yes. Make that permanent. Make Sonic Frontiers significantly better. It was a good starting point. It was a good basis. It wasn't a bad game. Minimum, I would say it's like 6, 7 out of 10. Right? Yeah. You got a game where it's pretty engaging. Right? The bosses are fine. The music was great. You can add Shadow, you can add Silver, you can add all these characters, right? It doesn't have to be DLC, okay? We can add different worlds. We can have Sonic actually go through trials and tribulations. You can do whatever you want.
Sonic Adventure 3 open world.
We can do something like that,
feeding
right?
Families. Feeding families.
It's never going to happen, but it would feed families.
Literally.
Bro.
So I think if they were smart, right, and they really wanted to be like, okay, we understand his capabilities. We understand what Sonic can really do. Let's make this open world really shake, and but don't make it empty. Like you can do things that are the world, the environment has to be interactive, right? Springs, the jumps, the boost pads, whatever you need. Like even in Frontiers with it was like the little octopus boss that you fought. Yeah. Did you play Frontiers?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that stuff. I thought that was pretty cool, but like I think stuff like that, if they could just kind of go all in low key on that, they could hit open world like by storm for real, like.
And one thing I want to hit on too is that like I think the Sonic franchise as a whole is in a good direction.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say that because you're just like, oh well, they just released Superstars because oftentimes gamers don't think that a franchise or a developer can miss and be okay. Like they missed with Superstars. Yeah. But like it's okay.
Exactly.
Like I still think they're going in the right direction. I still think Frontiers is. Now if Frontiers was bad also, like if we came off of Forces being bad,
they'd be cooked.
We would be
they wouldn't needed to like reevaluate.
With it being even with it being divisive in terms of like people being like, Frontiers is kind of not great. Frontiers is really good, or some people having Frontiers like one of their favorite Sonic games. Like even that is way better than like the consensus being like this is disappointing.
Exactly. Yeah. And my thing is like, what other franchise has let itself experiment as much with its like characters as much as Sonic does? Because let's be real, we were talking, I think, last episode a little bit about like how like for a long time, 2D Mario was just New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Like for a minute, it was just that. But Sonic really hasn't had a period like that. If we're gonna be honest, like Sonic has always been doing something different. Maybe it sticks with the fans, maybe it doesn't. But at least they're trying something that's different and new for the majority of them. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's also because Sonic fans are more volatile because when a Nintendo franchise sees something and they're like, "Oh, this works," and they stick with it, fans very much want to see you like continue to stick with it. Like Pokemon fans want to see Mega Evolution like be a staple in the franchise. Like for a long time, the New Super Mario Bros. Formula was fine. But like Sonic fans got the Wisp back like one more time, and they're like, "Why are we milking the Wisp?" Blah, 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 this is bad. And they're like, "Okay, we got you. We'll take a step back." So I feel like it's a thing that Sonic team, the moment something doesn't work, they're like, "All right, get rid of that. We'll do something new." The moment something does work, like, "Oh, okay, we can like keep building upon this." Only for the fans to be like, I kind of wonder. Do something.
I kind of wonder if that kind of like goes along with the fact that like, and I feel this is kind of similar with like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where like, everyone growing up has their turtles, right? For me, it was 2003 until I got to 2013, and those are my guys right now. But like, in a similar way, I feel like everyone has their Sonic or their Sonic game. You know what I'm saying? Like I got started with like OG Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles because I had a friend who let me borrow them. Me and my sister played a lot of Heroes and Riders growing up, and I haven't really dabbled into a Sonic game since. But it's just like, I feel like when you look at Mario, right? Mario has been consistently, what you're getting out of Mario. You know what I'm saying? So everyone has kind of the same touchstone with Mario, but everyone has different touchstones when it comes with Sonic.
I think that's even more true because Sonic has so many different voice actors, and even in the Sonic community, it's always the thing where it's like, are you more of a Ryan Drummond guy or a Jason Griffith guy or like, or a Roger Craig Smith
or
guy?
even think about how many shows has Sonic had?
I was about to say.
At least five? At least five?
Yeah.
At the very least
Sonic
five.
Underground, Sonic Boom.
Yeah, exactly. So the Sonic Underground, the Sonic one, Sonic X.
Sonic the
Exactly. The one where he was voiced by Jaleel White. Exactly.
And also Sonic Prime now.
Exactly. That's what, 6 or 7 shows? Yeah. Literally, dude. Where Mario's only had like what, the live action of Mario Brothers
with the Mario Brothers.
Exactly.
Get all the fame.
Had that one, and then just recently we got the Super Mario Bros. Movie. That's it.
Yeah.
That's literally it. So it's like Sonic has had so many more interpretations than Mario that maybe it's almost like not really fair to compare the two that much at this point, where it's like they're super different.
It's really
it's not the 90s anymore.
It's like having a classmate in high school. And then you go to different colleges
for
and you both graduate.
Exactly,
you both graduate and meet back up, and it's like
one of you is in finance and the other one of you is in art. You
exactly.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sonic is definitely the art student.
Sonic is the art student. There's no debate. No debate.
But yeah, no, that's a perfect analogy. And I feel like in a way, and I don't like saying this about franchise because I remember because this really made me think of this when this debate came up, and it was like, who's more iconic, Sonic or Kirby?
Yeah.
And it really just made me think about like how Sonic is kind of just too big to fail.
I was about to say.
It's Sonic. It's Sonic.
Probably Sonic.
That was a debate.
That just really made me think of how like
it's Sonic.
Kirby games are pretty much always great. They're always amazing.
Yeah.
And
like it's kind of wild how even after all that, people are still like, oh, I still know Sonic that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's still my guy.
I mean, is this another Gamers Are Stupid moment? Question mark.
Are we stupid?
But you want to say something?
Oh, no, it's not relevant. I was just going to say the Sonic versus Kirby debate. If it was a debate of which one has had more consistent quality,
I mean,
yeah. But Sonic's definitely more iconic.
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say.
Yeah. I think we just... Like you were saying, everybody's had their own different Sonics. And it's funny, like, I remember being a kid playing Sonic Riders. Yeah. And I was like, Oscar, this is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. I was like, this is amazing. And I don't know what it was. I think it was just seeing the different characters. Even though I didn't know the characters, like a lot of them, I was just seeing the different characters playing with it. It felt
For the
like
longest time, Jet was my guy, bro.
I'm saying.
That's bro.
Something about him.
We were like this, man. Like, no.
That's something about that green bird, bro.
He was on the cover. I'm like, he's so cute.
I was like, dang, you got aura, bro.
No, literally. And I was like, dude, like sometimes Sonic, it doesn't have to be like, always the same, like high speed 2D, type of thing. But like, if it just grabs me, like, what was it called? The Sonic game when he was a werewolf.
Oh,
Unleashed.
Sonic Unleashed.
Yeah.
for the longest time, I was like, as a kid, I was like, oh, I want to play this, I want to play this, I want to play this. I grew up thinking people were dogging this game so much. I'm like, yo, I did not know the reception of it was just bad. And I'm like, oh shoot, I guess people weren't messing with that. Same thing with the rings. And I was like, oh, my fault. I didn't know that. So I think everybody.
Sorry, gaming public.
No, literally. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe.
For the longest time, I was 06's biggest hater.
Real.
Yeah, man. Like it just kind of seeing the evolution of fans and like them still rocking with their guy. Sonic as a whole. I'm like, okay,
exactly.
At least we're still at a consensus that Sega as a whole still has stuff that they can do.
There's something about that design of Sonic, bro.
I know.
Something that's just so good.
I know.
You know?
And I think them, just Sonic being in like stuff like Smash and like all these collabs with Mario, and I'm like,
Exactly.
you can't get Nintendo.
You can't get rid of them.
You're not gonna, if you're collabing with them, Sonic will always be here. Like,
Exactly.
There's no way you can erase anything that Sonic's done, like just for their franchise in general. You know,
I feel like that's one thing that Sega will never really be bad at, because it's always a thing where it's like Sonic will pretty much, Sega will always be like, you know, the games are always their own separate thing, but in terms of Sonic's PR, we always have that handled.
Exactly,
Yeah.
dude. You know,
Yeah.
and I really just love how like Sonic just is so many people's childhoods.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because and it's funny, right? I feel like, I don't know, and like I want to hear your guys' perspectives on this, but I feel like even if I had played like the exact same time and the exact same amount of games, I would still have Sonic as more of my childhood than Mario. I don't know why. I feel like part of it is just like maybe it was the way that Sonic made me feel as a kid, where like when I'm playing Mario, it feels a lot more, I guess for lack of a better word, it feels like I'm just building a Lego set, following the instructions when I'm playing Mario. But when I'm like playing with Sonic, it always felt like I'm doing something more dynamic. You know what I'm saying? Even in the games where I wasn't like doing a super fast action platform like Sonic, like freaking Sonic Battle. Sonic Battle's like story was very mid at best looking back. It was very okay. But there's something about just playing Sonic games that really just hits somehow. I'm really not trying to quantify that.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound really weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know how on point this is, but like when I play a Mario game, I feel like I'm playing a product, a very good product, and a very fun product.
Yeah.
But
You
at the end of the
kinda
day,
can't get past that product part.
yeah. And then when I play a Sonic game, a good Sonic game, it feels like I'm coming home.
Yeah.
In a really weird way. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with childhood nostalgia. Honestly, I really feel like Sonic is kind of freedom. Like Sonic as a character just really feels like I'm kind of like I'm dropping off my cleats after playing Little League soccer.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing my Capri Sun and I'm sitting down and I'm playing Sonic. I'm just letting loose. You know what I'm saying?
In the Sonic game, you know?
Exactly, dog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it definitely, I feel like it also has to do too with the depiction of the characters. Because I mean, even though like, you know, not to say Mario is like one note or anything, but it's just
No,
like
definitely
obviously
not.
just the design philosophy between like Mario and Sonic,
Yeah.
where it's like, I mean, you know, Sonic Unleashed is something that's like, you know, it's very much like no pun intended, but like a wild game. Like it's like, all right, like, you know, you're going from zooming around, then all of a sudden you're doing a beat 'em up, and then like, you know, it's very like, you know, this, and this.
Exactly.
And then, you know, you may play something like Sonic and the Black Knight, which is like, it has something that's very like storybook-esque, but like also at the same time, it has like this cool aspect.
And I'm
of, like,
swinging a sword,
you're
bro.
swinging a
I
sword.
love swords.
Yeah.
So
It's like, as a kid, would you have hung out with Sonic or Mario? I would have hung out with Sonic.
Sonic.
That's what I'm saying.
Easy.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I think it's just like you're talking about character design. I think there's certain things that you gravitate towards. Certain like some people like gravitate more towards Shadow and, you know, Sonic or Tails. Like it's just kind of like the way it looks. I'm like, oh, okay, this kind of fits. You know, just like how like when they pick like Mario and he's like kind of more aggressive, it's like, oh, we don't really see that often.
Exactly, like
I kinda
OG Strikers.
Yeah,
I kind of need that. I
something-
kind of need that a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Literally, and I'm like,
kinda
oh
need
my
that a
god,
little more.
as a kid that drew me to Strikers.
Me too.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm so sad that they dialed that down for
I'm
the Switch
saying.
days.
Yeah.
I would have hung out with that Mario.
Yeah.
I would have hung out with that
I
Mario.
don't think that Mario would have wanted to hang out with you.
And it's just something about that type of like just feeling vibe. You're like, oh my gosh, like I kind of want to play like that. Like I feel like that's me.
That's what I'm saying.
Like yes,
Dude, like in Sonic Advance, when you would run fast enough with Sonic that like he would start outpacing the screen, and you see.
Oh
after
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
it's one of those
something.
things where I guess a cool way to kind of relate it to is that like So many kids like I want to be like Goku, I want to be like Gohan,
Yes,
something like that. Where it's like
dude.
a lot of like kids are just like,
I
I
wanna
mean,
be
like
like
I wish I
Sonic,
could
yeah.
just like run like Sonic, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or like climbing the walls like Knuckles, you know what I'm saying? Just like stuff like that.
That's
like,
a super.
I've never
good
really been like,
comparison.
I want to
Yeah.
like jump on turtles like Mario.
No.
Yeah, no.
But
I
you
wanna be
raise
a plumber
crazy
when I
good
grow up.
point
Yeah,
because
no,
Sonic and
that's
Goku
true.
are low-key dummy similar.
Yeah.
Because there are always those
That's
franchises
intentional,
as a kid
too.
where you're just
Yes.
like he's literally me. Like he's literally
Yeah.
I'm trying to be just
No,
like
like
him. dog.
even
Yeah.
even I remember when like just the Flash and like every time in Flash's name would kind of get brought up and stuff like that. Like Sonic would be like, oh, but is he faster than Sonic? X, Y, and Z. And this is, like I would always hear that those type of conversations. I'm like, the fact that he's even did this type of media like
That's-
superheroes.
you know what?
It's kind
That's
of wild.
really fair.
And I'm
That's
like,
really fair.
Yo, we bringing him in a combo. Let's actually talk. Like it's something that's pretty
we've had
cool to
Sonic
me.
brought
Like
up an anime conversation.
Yeah.
comic conversation,
Yes.
like it's crazy.
it's pretty
man.
cool though.
That's wild, and it's interesting because you're not hearing anyone talk about. Oh yeah, but could Mario could Mario
yeah.
go band for band with Galactus or could Mario go band for band with Darkseid? I don't know, bro.
Yeah, like it's literally.
That's wild.
Yeah, Mario's not even the one Nintendo character that gets that. I think it's
Yeah.
Kirby. So
Yeah, literally.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Kirby's an eldritch god, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. Well, that kind of brings us to the end of our episode. I guess we'll kind of do our end of episode games real quick. So first one we've got is what have you been playing lately? So we'll start off with Simon. Simon,
Guess.
what have you been playing lately?
So lately, I've been playing A Link to the Past.
Ooh, he's a classic gamer.
That was
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
game.
Okay.
Well, there's a bit of a backstory here,
Ooh,
right?
school.
I think this was last month.
Mhm.
I'm more so saying this for the podcast sake because you all were literally there.
Yeah.
We went to Duck Duck Games,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
which is
Oh, yeah, this is fun.
it's this really
Great
cool.
local store.
Yes, it's this
Really
cool
local
used
store,
game store. Everything
If
is
you're
so
in
well
the
preserved.
Northeast Ohio area, definitely check
Check
it
it
out.
out. Come down.
Everything is so well preserved. Definitely not sponsored. Go check them
As I said,
out.
we're not sponsored.
Exactly. It's a great store.
But I wasn't planning on buying anything. But as I was skimming the shelves, I saw a used Switch game. It was Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Except it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was The Legend of Zoraldo.
Lonk's
Lonk's Awakening. Or as I've taken to calling it, Lonk's Awonkadonk.
Yes, sir.
I don't know why. I just think it's more fun to say. And I saw the cover, and it was like literally the cover was photoshopped, the back was photoshopped, the rating was photoshopped. It said rated L for Lonk. I was like, I have to buy this.
Yeah.
So I did. But I actually have the original version, like on my 3DS Virtual Console. I never finished it. And I wanted to pick it up again after I played A Link to the Past, because in the same way that Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask follow the same link, there is a kind of like quadrilogy.
Oh, yeah, because you have the Oracle's games in there, too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It goes A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening,
Awakening.
Oracle of Seasons, Ages. They can kind of change.
Yeah.
Which brings me into a whole different topic about games with password systems, but that's besides the point. So I picked up A Link to the Past for the first time because I kind of want to play them in order, and I'm actually really loving it. I am impressed with how fast they were able to polish the classic Zelda formula, considering it's like the third game in the entire franchise. I definitely think there are some parts that haven't aged well, like certain boss fights or puzzles, but the Switch has that kind of rewind feature that makes
There you go.
it makes life a whole lot easier. Because I'm not about to try and try hard this game. I'm just trying to play it for fun.
Oh, yeah.
But playing it on the Switch has been a wonderful experience.
I love that. Let's get it, baby.
Nice. Kelechi, what have you been playing lately? Has that changed up since last episode? You know what I'm saying?
No, but right now I'm just playing Pokemon Black 2.
Yeah,
It's
mine
just
too.
just something I want to replay. I think it was just because I wanted to pick it up. I think next time I might play either Katana Zero or
Yes, please do.
yeah, I think I'm gonna play that or what else? I was thinking of Sekiro. Going back to my PS5.
You want to put time into that game, though?
That's what I'm thinking. I was looking
That's
at it,
the
I'm like,
thing,
it's been
dude.
sitting there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this game looks so fun.
Sekiro is great from what I've heard, but at the same time, it's like where in other FromSoft games, you can kind of cheese around specific bosses. Sekiro is inflexible. It will tell you you're going to do it this way, And if you don't do it this way, you're losing and you're not moving forward. So that's why I haven't picked up Sekiro yet. Yes, it's very much you're gonna do it this way. It's gonna be like simple things to do, but it's like this boss is only gonna be beat this way. You gotta do it that way. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, those are a couple things I do want to just play. I mean, Elden Ring along the way, but those are all long games. Oh, another. Well, actually, I probably will play Final Fantasy VII before any of those because I'm very interested in Final Fantasy. Series in general. Like, I think that would be really cool to play. So that's it.
Real. I feel it. For me, I'm still on my Vita kick. If y'all haven't been on the Vita, get on that.
How much was it?
My Vita, I picked it up. I think I picked it up secondhand. It was like 100 and something. I want to say something like that. Wasn't too bad. Aftermarket prices for Vitas aren't crazy, but I've been playing Odin Sphere. I'm still on my Vanillaware kick. Loving that game. Still loving the art style. I was showing Simon earlier where it's like I love the beginning of the game. You're like a little girl, and you literally get to pick up a storybook, and that's how you like choose your characters. And then you go over to the little chair and you sit down, and then when she opens the book, then you start playing as that character. And it's the art's good. The combat is still just where you've got like each character plays differently. And the first one you get is the Valkyrie, and so like she can like do this thing where she can jump really high, she can float. She has like dash attacks that are just any game that gives me a good dash attack that I can do repeatedly. Something about being like I can hit you and then hit you and then hit you again, and now we're in the air and I can keep hitting you. It's just I'm telling you. So like I just started that recently, and I think that's gonna be I have 15 minutes of downtime in between stuff, and I'm gonna play this game on my Vita kind of game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But as far as games I don't want to sit down and play, I'm definitely this week gonna sit down and start getting back into Armored Core 6. Yes. So about halfway through that game, I want to just beat it and then finish it out.
Yeah.
As far as that's probably gonna be my big thing for February. February is gonna be Armored Core and then getting into P5R because I wanted to replay Persona 5. We talked about that for a little bit. So I'm trying to get back on that because March is going to be me replaying Dragon's Dogma so I can play Dragon's Dogma 2 at the end of March.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Because, man, the way that first game became one of my all-time favorites after just one consistent playthrough, and it's a slow start, I will say. It takes a minute to get going, but the combat in that game makes for some amazing stories. I love that. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I've been playing and what I'm looking forward to playing. Nice. What about you, boss?
So I didn't mention this last episode, but I recently started Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Okay.
Skyward Sword HD. So far so good. I gotta, cause I never, I think it's either been a while or I just completely forgot the entire game, but I was surprised when I saw a stamina wheel in Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, this is something President Well
gotta drink your wheatgrass, bro.
As I say. So playing through that's been really fun. I recently started Star Fox for the SNES.
Oh, dang. You like looking at diamonds and triangles? That's wild.
He's taking a geometry class.
I was about to say.
You want a little this and this. So that's been fun. But February, I'm also going to look at some other games like Banjo-Kazooie. But, don't want to overload in terms of the games I'm playing right now because I still mentioned some of the games from last time, such as Kingdom Hearts, which is kind of like my big thing for February. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So
good stuff.
All right. So moving on over to our praise and raise.
Yes, sir.
So I already explained the rules of praise and raise for our viewers, our newer viewers who don't know. Our praise and raise is basically who we want to shout out and who we kind of want to put on blast in the gaming community. So, who you want to shout out is kind of going to be your praise. Who you want to put on blast kind of be your raise. I'll start off. So I want to give my first praise to gamers.
Derogatory.
I want to give my first praise. Thank you. In terms of the discourse that we've been seeing lately, in terms of is yellow paint a good thing, good level design thing? I've been seeing some people come at it with some understanding for developers.
Yeah.
In terms of they're kind of working with, of course, how people are interacting with games right now.
Exactly.
And that's something that I really like seeing because oftentimes when there's gaming discourse, I very much am saying, man, I don't get why people are reacting this way. That's kind of dumb. Are people just being dumb? But I haven't really encountered that this time, which is really dope. Or should I say too much of it? because my raise is also gamers.
Derogatory.
So with
He's so real for that.
with that though, also comes again people being this discourse didn't start with people. It started with people getting mad about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just look at it as being like a whole thing. We've already discussed it, but at the same time though, it's like, I do want to be like when we pick things that are worthy of our discussion, when we realize that okay, like there's this exact reason for it, we should just move on from it instead of trying to create more discourse. But I'm seeing a little bit more of that. So, yeah, that's my praise and raise. So,
Real.
I respect it.
Simon, do you have a praise and a raise?
I don't know if I have a raise, but I do have a praise.
Okay. What's your praise?
So as I said, I've been trying to get more into indie games in this year, and there was one I picked up late December that I feel like if I'm going to talk about anything, it's worth mentioning this one. It's a little RPG called Knuckle Sandwich.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
I've seen you play it a couple times.
So basically, it was a game. Again, I saw the demo for it on YouTube, and I was like, I need this game in my life.
Yeah.
So I wishlisted it. The best way I could describe this game is by a comment I saw in the Steam reviews.
Yeah.
That basically went along the lines of, this game is like if Mario and Luigi and Undertale had a kid, and then Undertale found out that WarioWare was the real dad. And what I mean by that is it's obviously an RPG. It has similar action commands to like dodging and attacking and stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes, actually not sometimes, most of the time, there'll be WarioWare-esque mini games.
I love that actually.
So like when you have to dodge an attack, you have to like physically dodge it, or you have to like play a little golf game.
That's
dope,
actually.
And like your special attacks, you have to like spin this control stick, and it's very, very creative.
I love that.
The one criticism I have with it is that I feel like it falls flat on the ending. I won't get too much into detail, but there are two plot twists. One I really love, and another I feel like was not relevant at all. But if I really hope that developer keeps going, because I could just tell how much love was put into that game for RPGs in general. And it's definitely one of the most creative things I've seen come out recently.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them tackle more games and improve on storytelling.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
That's
So,
fair.
just to remind anyone who's listening and may be interested, it's called Knuckle Sandwich. It's on Steam. Definitely at least worth checking out, I would say.
Okay.
What's your praise and raise, Clutchy?
Mine's probably gonna be similar to yours, but it's gonna be gamers talking about gamers talking about live battle
service.
passes.
Yeah,
Yes,
live service.
that
raise or
discourse.
is that raise?
That's a raise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
It's literally just it's,
I was about to say.
it's
so is your raise is also gamers?
It's yes, it's quite literally the dumbest thing ever.
Okay, I'm done.
when like we have had some of the best games, period, have just been live service or just like just the nitpicky things. Like I'm talking about Helldivers too. If everybody's
Okay, that game
when
looks
this
really
game
good.
this game
That game
came
looks
out,
really good.
It looks very good.
I
People are
have
like,
not
oh, it's
heard of
gonna.
it.
Oh, for real?
It's like Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, it's
and
like it's like co-op.
Yeah.
Like you're sent on a planet and you guys have to like beat off these aliens or whatever. So that way, like the corporation can get there. You can like as you progress, you get more weapons. One because I was listening to a review earlier, and one of the weapons is like you get like a rocket launcher, but one person has the rocket launcher, and you need another person to actually carry the ammo. So it takes
that's hard.
two
That's
people
hard.
to load it.
That's actually
Yeah, like,
awesome.
it's
I think
really-
it'd be really
it-
fun to play with the guys.
It looks really cool to play like with just people, but people
Yeah.
were day one dog and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna flop and do X, Y, and Z because why is it live service?" I'm like, dude, why does it matter? Like, it's you guys are like the nitpicky stuff that gamers talk about makes absolutely no sense to me, and I'm like, just if you don't like it, just wait a couple months and see if it flops.
Literally.
Like, it's
Why are we praying for the downfall of
I
another
don't-
creative work?
literally like I don't understand it. Like stuff like that. I've been seeing it like it's just annoying. Okay, granted, Suicide Squad, another thing. I didn't talk about it much, but like, People didn't like it.
The
People
reception was weird, but I don't know. I
some
feel
people
like
liked it though.
that's what I'm saying. Because like if you look at it on Steam, I think it's a mostly positive, if
Yeah.
not very positive.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to feel the game out on my own. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was weird how bandwagony gamers can be sometimes.
Yeah. That
I wasn't paying attention to Discourse. I had the exact same feeling where I was just like, I don't know, man. I think it's better to just hop on the game yourself. And
Literally, the only thing I would say I
Literally.
disliked is like they leaked what happens to the Arkham Batman
Yeah.
in that game.
Yeah, I know.
That
People
part,
hated that.
That
But
part
to
was
be
the
fair, though,
that's the only thing I know that I didn't like. You know what I'm saying? Like the only out of the whole like picture
Yeah.
of the game that I've like seen.
Yeah.
That's the only one thing that I've said I wouldn't like.
I think people getting mad about that is just so dumb because it's literally the title.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's.
Yeah.
They're all gonna like. You have
Yeah.
to beat them all. Like but I think people were even like being nitpicky about. Oh, like the Flash level's hard because I can't hit him, buddy. That's the point of the game. Like, I don't know what else to, like, just stuff like that I've seen.
What do you
I'm
want
like,
the Flash to be slow?
That's literally what I was like, bro. Like, what are we even arguing? Like, what are we complaining over? Like, I think just gamers just complain over dumb things. Like, that's probably my right or my
Your raise.
my raise. I don't really have any praises. I just kind of like the gaming community, just kind of like playing more games. Games becoming
I
more
feel you.
mainstream. That people are just playing casual games. That's probably it. So
That's fair.
Got you. Got praise and raise.
Let's see, praise and raise. You know what? I think if I had to pick a praise, I'm gonna go with the Bayonetta series.
Really?
Because that series got me
okay.
into action RPGs for real.
I
And
love
just
me
as
some
far
action
as-
RPGs.
Yes.
Did Bayonetta do
Love
anything?
me some action RPGs.
So they haven't done
man.
anything recently, but I've been thinking about like, you know, games I really enjoyed, especially as we've been talking about going off games off of vibes. I picked up Bayonetta off of vibes and I was like, okay, like this is really good. The combos are really good. The stage design is really, really good. The enemy variety is really, really good. The way that it makes you feel when you land a really good combo is really good. The bosses are really, really good. And the story is really competent too, honestly. Like for what it's trying to do, it does it pretty well. First game is pretty good. Second game story is it's all right. It's like not as good, but still pretty good. Haven't finished the third one, and that's something I could talk about later. It's got its ups and its downs, things I liked and things I didn't like. But like overall, as far as like action game series that aren't just Devil May Cry, and because those two are almost like sibling series, I think they were they both started by Hideki Kamiya? I think they might have. I think they were both started by Kamiya.
I wouldn't know.
Don't quote me. I might be wrong on that. But like as far as like sibling franchises, I really like seeing what Bayonetta's done.
Okay.
I don't think I have a race for this week, honestly. I think we're good.
Okay.
I got you. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for sliding through to episode 2 of the Pause Menu podcast.
Yes, sir.
Simon, would you like to be the first person to shout out where they could potentially find you? Got any socials?
Instagram,
like that
Snap.
in terms
Not a
of-
lot of socials. I do have a YouTube. Sparple. I don't really post on
Want to
there.
spell that out for the people?
How's that sound?
SPARPL.
There we go.
I don't post on there at all, but maybe someday I will. So feel free to check it out if you want. If you don't, I mean, I'm not your dad, so
Real.
like,
Unless you are, like 20 years in the future.
well, I don't have kids right now.
Yeah, right now. We don't know if they're going to listen to this 20, 30 years in the future.
If they do, we'll see what happens.
All right. Clutchy, got any socials you want to
Yeah.
tell people where
I'll
they
just
can
plug
find you?
in. Yeah, my Instagram. It's KCOKECHUKWU, the number 2. That's
They
it.
got to
It's
get in
pretty
the
long.
African names, bro.
Yeah,
They'll
I'm
get there
Nigerian.
eventually.
Yeah, but you can find me there. I post just. I don't really post that crap. Probably like twice a year.
Real. That is so real.
Pretty much.
Keep
Like
up.
that's what I was saying, man. My Insta is pick up the sword. Yeah, you'll only see me and my girlfriend there right now. Will I post anything else? Who knows? We'll see. Big man.
But yeah, so again, my YouTube channel is Ganache. That's just GONASH. I have a Twitter as well, which is third THIRMDOOO. So I tweet into the void a lot of times. Trust me, if you want content where I'll just be tweeting about random things, it's there. But
Mostly basketball.
Mostly basketball right now
Yeah.
because the season's going on. But when the season's dead, it's all gaming from there. So
Let's get it, baby.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for pulling up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 of the Pause Menu podcast. I've been your host, Oscar. I've got my beautiful, beautiful co-host with me. Thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and wonderful rest of your week as you jump back into it. All right.
Peace out, y'all.
See you guys.
Bye.